there as you get up on this Tuesday morning. Let's check in with meteorologist Patrick Ellis, who's got a first alert to what to expect today and the rest of the week. And Patrick, it looks like the rest of the week has a lot of sunshine in it. Good morning.
And good morning. Yes, the sunshine is going to be plentiful as we head through the next couple of days. But today, still kind of mixed in with some clouds. Obviously, this morning, this is a live look from our High 5 camera coming from Olive Branch, Mississippi. You see the City Hall there. And again, you see the clouds kind of rolling in. We've also got some zones of fog to contend with as well. And that may slow you down along your morning travels in a few spots. Temperatures are in the 60s. Again, one spot that has been fairly dense on the fog perspective here this morning has been Oxford. It's been coming and going. But around Lafayette County, you can expect some zones of fog that probably extends all the way up into southern Marshall County as well. If you travel along Highway 7, going from Holly Springs down towards Oxford, along 278 as well, from Oxford out towards Batesville. We also had some zones of fog across portions of Cross County as well as St. Francis and Crittenden County, and even into southern Mississippi County, kind of stretching up into Tipton County, back into western portions of Fayette County as well. So there are patches of dense fog here this morning, but it's not as invasive as it was yesterday across the area. After we get the fog out of here, sunshine's going to win out, but still mixing in with clouds from time to time and a stray shower chance, and that comes by way of a frontal boundary that will be on the move. You see the winds picking up out of the north around 10 miles per hour plus today as that front comes sweeping through the area. Highs will top out lower 80s before it's all said and done. The front's already kind of knocking on our back doorstep here this morning. It was shifting eastward as we head through the course of the day. Overall, though, the weather pretty quiet for us across the region for the vast majority of the day. So morning clouds and fog banks will break up the clouds for some more peaks of sunshine. And again, underneath those clouds, you might see one or two very isolated showers through the course of the day. Front comes sweeping through here after we top out low 80s, dropping into the 50s. And I will tell you, some spots here likely dropping into the lower 50s to start off early on your Wednesday morning. So that may inspire some of you to grab a jacket as you're kicking off your Wednesday. To the mid 70s and upper 70s we go for the afternoon hours, dropping back into the 50s again to start off early Thursday, and then we'll do the whole process over again. But we start the upward trend. You see the clouds moving from south to north. That means that we are starting to get a little bit more of that return flow off the Gulf of Mexico, and that will help to bolster the temperatures back up to the low 80s, which is about normal for this time of the year. And again, we'll probably drop into the low 60s early on Friday morning. Here's a look at the lows tonight. And again, some spots here, low 50s, maybe even some sprinkled in upper 40s, not completely off of the table. Covington, Ripley, Dyersburg, Alamo, Brownsville, Somerville, as well as Bolivar, all around 50 degrees here tonight. Selmer sticking out at 53, 58 though here in the city. And I will say that's inside the city. I'd say inside 240, that's where we would be in the upper 50s. Outside of 240, low 50s expected in places like Millington and Arlington, and as well as Collierville, Bartlett, and Germantown. Low and mid 50s across North Mississippi as well. 55 Oxford, 53 Senatobia, 53 in Tunica, Clarksdale, 55, same thing in Mark, same going for our eastern Arkansas communities. Low 50s expected across areas along the north of I-40, south of I-40 in the mid-50s to get started early on your Wednesday. And that's all going to come behind that front that will drop our humidity levels a couple of notches. Actually, you're going to feel pretty nice through the day on Wednesday. Gradually, the humidity levels will start to creep back up as we head through the afternoon hours of your Thursday, and then kind of hang around where we have been the last couple of days, along with the warmer air that will be moving through here through the weekend. And you'll notice that average low 60 degrees. We'll be below that the next couple of mornings, but we'll come back above it heading into your Saturday and Sunday. And that comes by way of, yes, some changes, some warmer air building in across the area. First alert to that. High temperatures will be running well above average as we head into the weekend. Temperatures in the mid 80s, about 4 or 5 degrees above average for this time of the year. Look down to the south, middle and upper 80s in places like Jackson, Mississippi, near 90 degrees, low 90s in fact in Dallas, even low 90s up towards Kansas City on Saturday. Mid 80s in Louisville, Kentucky, and still running about average or maybe just a skosh above average over near Atlanta, right around the 80 degree mark, give or take. Even in Chicago, getting up in the mid 70s and upper 70s this upcoming weekend. So yeah, running a bit above average as we go into the first weekend of October. Beyond the first weekend of October, there is a front that looks to be poised to sweep through the area. Actually, a series of fronts. The first front actually moves in here on Friday, And then we get another one to move through here on Sunday. And the one on Sunday actually will be the one that kind of kicked down the temperatures a couple of extra notches. Now, we'll say again today, a chance for a couple of showers expected today, primarily east of the city of Memphis. But most spots will likely stay dry. Again, 1 or 2 isolated showers. 50s and 70s for lows and highs as we head towards your Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. Upper 50s early Thursday to the low 80s, and looking pretty good as we head through the weekend, including for the Terrapin Derby coming up in Lepanto, Arkansas on Saturday. Weather looking pretty good up there in eastern Poinsett County.
Wow, already the Terrapin Derby, huh, Patrick?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes,
okay.
We have been talking about the Terrapin Derby here at the Action News 5 for quite some time, and
Yes.
it looks like the weather's going to hold out for the Turtles making their race down Main Street coming up this weekend.
One question before we let you go, Patrick. It's been an active hurricane season. We're right now smack dab in the middle of it. How are things looking in the Gulf and how it relates to Memphis and the Mid-South?
So right now we have 2 name systems on the board in Joyce and Kirk. Joyce out to sea, Kirk out to sea. Now Kirk will also be able to strengthen, probably become a major hurricane here as it's churning about in the Atlantic Ocean. Again, way out to sea, not a problem. There's another system behind Kirk that could also form here the next couple of days, has a high chance of development, and likely will also stay out to sea. Now, a lot of people have been keeping an eye on the Western Caribbean. We have as well here at Action News 5. The Western Caribbean still a little bit more active. There is a medium chance of development here in the next couple of days, and it would likely be towards the end of this week. Now, I will say this. The modeling here today, when I looked at it, I was like, there's nothing really standing out. And I've had a lot of friends along the Gulf Coast who have texted me who've said, hey, is there a hurricane on the way this week? There are doomsday hurricane models anywhere and everywhere that you look. And again, we knew, going back to last week, we kind of knew that Helene, whatever was going to come out of that system, we knew Helene was going to be a big impact for somebody along the Gulf Coast. This one is a little bit more iffy because you got to think about this. You've had a major hurricane go through the eastern Gulf of Mexico that has upwelled a lot of the cooler waters at the bottom of the ocean back up to the top. So that will kind of mitigate the potential for development for at least a little bit of time. But there's also different aspects that go along with it as well. Is there a possibility that we could have a tropical low forming in the Gulf of Mexico later on this week? It is a possibility. To what extent it will have for the Mid-South, I don't think that this one will have an impact on the Mid-South based off of what we're seeing here, at least on this Tuesday morning. Well, that could change. We'll be watching it, but right now, nothing that we need to be worried about. If you have plans to go to the Gulf Coast, I think some tropical rain, some downpours, but nothing that's consolidated right now. There's tropical moisture that's looming to the south of us, and it's going to get swept through with a couple of fronts. But again, it seems like it'll be later on this week that if it were to form, it would be like Friday or Saturday. And we've already got like 2 fronts lined up to kind of sweep it off to the east, whatever it happens. So that would keep it to our east and away from us. So I don't think that we would have any impacts, at least right now. Again, things can and will change. The weather is the weather. We've seen that. But again, we'll be watching really like Friday, Saturday for any development in the Gulf. And at that point, we've got kind of some blocking fronts to keep it in off to the east of us. The setup is not the same as it was last week when it comes down to how Helene backtracked into our direction. That's not going to be the case for this system. It would be pushed off to the east and away from us.
All right, meteorologist Patrick Ellis giving us the deep dive on everything related to our forecast and our weather. Patrick, thank you.
No problem.
All right, let's take now a look at our High Five camera once again in Midtown. Some cloud cover as you get up on this Tuesday morning, 67 degrees at 7:09. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more Action News 5 in 60 seconds. Okay, welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. We are in the fourth week of the former Memphis police officers charged in the death of Tyre Nichols in federal court. Closing arguments set to begin in just a few hours. Action News 5's Tavarius Haywood brings us up to date.
After weeks of testimony, attorneys representing 3 former Memphis police officers rested their cases yesterday afternoon, which means that we are closer to a verdict, which could happen sometime later this week. Tadarius Bean, Justin Smith, and Demetrius Haley face federal charges of failure to intervene, excessive force, and covering up evidence. Emmett Martin III and Desmond Mills Jr. pleaded guilty on federal charges and testified in the trial as part of their plea agreement. All 5 were charged following the beating death of Tyre Nichols on January 7th of 2023. Tyre died 3 days later. Now, the prosecution arrested his case last Thursday after the jury heard from 19 witnesses over the past few weeks. What's expected to happen this week is following closing arguments, the jury will hear or be given instructions on how to deliberate. Of course, it's unclear just how long deliberations or closing arguments will last. Now, after the trial day ends, a date for the former officers will be set for the state trial, and we'll have that once it's available. Tavarius Haywood, Action News 5.
Have you heard about AmeriCorps' National Civilian Community Corps? It is a partnership between the AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps and Forest Corps, or the United States Forest Service. So Forest Corps is a partnership between AmeriCorps and the U.S. Forest Service. They protect public lands. It's for young people passionate about protecting those lands, and it really helps develop leadership skills, among other things, and strengthen communities. I'm joined right now by Ken Goodson. He's the director of AmeriCorps' National Civilian Community Corps, joining us on the digital desk. Ken, good morning to you. Tell us more about this new program.
Andrew, good morning. Thanks a lot for having me on. AmeriCorps' National Civilian Community Corps, or NCCC, is a team-based service program for young adults ages 18 to 26. We started as a demonstration project at the Department of Defense, have been with AmeriCorps for about 30 years now, helping to strengthen leadership skills and make a positive impact in communities across the nation. We've recently entered, as you mentioned, a new partnership with the U.S. Forest Service to help bring young adults into service on public lands. That is to address the wildfire crisis strategy of the Forest Service, as well as their reforestation strategy. Brand new program, just launched and became official as of last week.
All right, last week. Okay, so tell me about, first off, Forest Corps and what this program aims to do. How many young adults are a part of it, and where are they?
Okay, great. So the Forest Corps program, again, advancing 2 major strategies for the U.S. Forest Service. On the wildfire crisis strategy front, members will be involved in work such as prescribed burns, clearing brush, helping to reduce the risk of wildfires. And on the reforestation side, they'll be doing work like tree or seed collection and helping to monitor forest health. The program started with 80 members, and that was launched last week in California, where AmeriCorps NCCC has our Pacific Region campus. The initial set of 10 teams all actually depart today, Andrew, to begin their service commitment. Those service commitments are primarily in the American West, which is where the greatest wildfire risk is. But we have members serving in the program from all across the United States.
Okay, and their service tenure is it a year? Is it less than that?
Yeah, so AmeriCorps NCCC Forest Corps core members do a 10-month commitment, and then the team leaders, the young adults who run the teams, make an 11-month commitment.
And tell me about the leadership skills and other aspects of this program that these people who are involved in this program get out of it.
Yeah, and I think those are not unique to the Forest Corps part of AmeriCorps NCCC, but in general for AmeriCorps NCCC, it is a team-based program. So you have young adults from all different walks of life looking to go and serve in communities that have requested their support and assistance. And the leadership skills development is really through the daily hands-on service work, as well as some classroom training and support that's provided by AmeriCorps NCCC. That is coupled with the tangible technical skills that our project partners provide. So for Forest Corps members specifically, Andrew, that's things like chainsaw certifications or a red card wildland firefighter certification. So you take those soft skills, leadership skills, and then those tangible technical skills. And at the end of the service term, you have a really qualified young adult able to hit the job market and take the next step in their career.
So we have thousands of people, Ken, that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. This probably is the first time they're hearing about something like this. Is there an opportunity for people to join throughout the year, or is it only this time of year? What?
Yeah, throughout the year, Andrew, there's opportunities for people to get more information about AmeriCorps NCCC, all of our different service programs, and particularly for the Forest Corps program. And your viewers can go to AmeriCorps.gov/Forest Corps. That would be a great place to start. And my colleagues and I certainly stand ready to answer any questions that may come up.
All right, Ken Goodson, Director of AmeriCorps NCCC. We appreciate you on the Digital Desk. Congratulations on the new set of recruits that have gone through and are about to embark on quite a journey the next 10, 11 months. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. The use of illegal vapes is still very much a serious problem, especially when it comes to kids in high school. We're talking about teens, adolescents. They use these disposable e-cigs from China, and they have an extraordinary amount of concentrations of nicotine. They're highly addictive, and they're appealing to these kids and adolescents because of their appearance. They look like toys, they're school supplies, and they have all these different flavors. So how do we combat this? Because right now, according to a study since 2019, 60% of youth, high school kids, okay, reported using these disposable e-cigarettes. It's an awful situation. I know so many parents firsthand that have struggled to deal with this issue. Let's bring in someone to help us and discuss this in detail. I'm joined right now by Rich Marianos, a former ATF deputy director. He's joining us on the Digital Desk. Rich, thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about this problem first off. Let's just kind of outline the problem, how pervasive it is, and how much of an epidemic it is. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning. Let's just go with the statistics of what you said earlier. If 6 out of 10 kids are using it right now, it is a huge problem, especially right now with a new school year, we've seen in the last 5 years a 2,000% increase among young adults that are addicted to these vape products, and now they're going to be going into schools. Almost zombies is what I say. So addictive, with products like Tyson's Heavyweight 1000 Puff Mango Cherry version, not manufactured by industry, manufactured by Chinese organized crime. But this addiction creates a disruption which affects our school system, our parental duties, school resource officers, our administrators. And if we don't grab a hold of Chinese organized crime that's involved in this, the problem will just become more and more severe every day going into this year.
How are these kids? Because, you know, I mean, both my kids are in college and they were in high school, and they would tell me certain bathrooms in the high school where these kids would vape and you know, have these flavors, cotton candy, creme brulee, that sort of thing. How do these kids, first off, get these products? Are they being sold everywhere? And why isn't there a crackdown on this kind of thing?
Well, let's start first. How are they getting it? A lot of it is through the websites and social media, or illicit vape shops that are selling it directly to the kids that aren't paying attention to the laws. They're not paying attention to regulations, and they're actually putting out poison, unregulated Chinese poison, to our children. What we need to be cognizant of and understand that this is our #1 threat of national security. It's another vehicle for Chinese organized crime to come in, make more money on the backs of America, and go after our greatest resource, which is our children.
So bad, Rich. It just infuriates me as a parent and what my kids have told me about the epidemic and the problem that they see firsthand. So we've identified, you know, this problem and how large it is. So let's talk about solutions for all those parents, the grandparents, family members out there.
Well, you brought it up a little bit earlier, and we need better enforcement. We need the government to pay attention to what's going on. We need states to develop a registry to what is illegal in terms of also what is legal for tobacco harm reduction. When these products first came out, the good ones are designed to get people away from combustibles, but the bad ones are now addicting our children. We need enforcement. We need to be giving the laws the tools, directories for law enforcement to go and put these vape shops out of business, to disrupt the supply chain, and understand that organized crime hits everyone. It's time that we hit back, and as a community, as a society, hit back in taking these out of the marketplace and making it safer for our young adults.
You know, I couldn't agree more, Rich, especially when you talk about, you know, this poison, for lack of a better term. I mean, we have no idea what's in this stuff. And, you know, no matter where it's marketed, I mean, we have no idea what's in that, the long-lasting effects of some of that liquid, that vape liquid. Are there any places any states that, from your best vantage point, that do it right in terms of law enforcement, cracking down, anything like that? And if so, can we talk about them? Or if not, let's come up with some ideas and how we can push this to our state lawmakers.
The best strategy are those that have registries, that are working in concert with their law enforcement partners and coming up with a solution, working with their schools, identifying the delivery system that these young adults are using to sneak it, and then going out there again to arrest and disrupt the marketplace. Enforcement works. It always has worked, but let's go after the bad guys in the marketplace. Let's understand what the problem is and understand that the ones that are FDA approved are good for those who want to curtail combustible smoking. Everything else, it's a crime to possess, sell, and we need to get it out of the hands of our kids and enforce the government, not just to use the FDA, but give local law enforcement their tools to enforce it. The FDA is trying, but sending letters and going out there without a structured strategic plan is not the solution. We need a real law enforcement agency and real police to get behind this, to go after, again, our largest national security threat, and that is Chinese organized crime.
I think a lot of parents and grandparents, Rich, are saying, hey, can you say it louder for the people in the back? You know, we have thousands of people watching us each and every morning here on the digital desk. If they want to do something and they agree 100% with what you're saying, what would you recommend they do?
First thing, let's go on our website, website put together with some partners, illegalvapes.com, that has all the information on good practices, even failed practices, good articles, bad articles, but it gives the picture of how to do this and how to do it right and create a holistic approach. We can't do this in a vacuum. Our politicians have to. They must work with the school system. They must work with the parents. They must get involved in the community and hear what the biggest problems are. You talked about the bathroom vape location. They need to understand that some of these schools have locations where these kids know to go that are unsupervised, and it's a problem, it's a threat. They need to work together in this, what I call the holistic approach, rather than make these decisions in the vacuum. And then further, if it's the FDA, ATF, if it's local police, whoever it may be, that they need to use resources to target this problem.
Totally agree there. Illegalvapes.com. Anything else you want to mention this morning, Rich, we haven't touched on you feels important? It's truly an epidemic that we need to crack down on and get under control.
Parents need to understand that this is a terrible issue. It is affecting the way our kids are developing, how their brains are developing by the use of these illegal vape products. And they also need to take a stronger approach. Some can't just brush it away that my kids aren't in gangs, my kids aren't using drugs. If vape is the only problem, it's okay, I'll live with it. That's the wrong response. It's the wrong attitude. And they need to take a more aggressive approach to jump in and realize that a product that's manufactured for kids by organized crime needs to be taken very, very seriously. And it's not only a threat to public safety, but it's a threat to public health.
Illegalvapes.com. Rich Marianos, former ATF Deputy Director. We really appreciate this discussion this morning on the Digital Desk. Thank you for letting us know about not only your website, but also best practices to crack down on this awful epidemic that's affecting so many teens and adolescents out there. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share the correct information out there.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. The Harlem Globetrotters. They are sensational. We all love their show. If you've ever been to one at FedEx Forum, you know what I'm talking about. Well, last year they had a TV show, a TV series, and it did extraordinarily well. Well, guess what? They're going to have a new series on television, and they're marking a new world tour as well. And I am fortunate enough to right now be joined by two Harlem Globetrotters. I am joined by Sherelle Torch George and Lucius Too Tall Winston on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Tell me, you're spinning the basketballs. I love the tricks you guys do. How are you this morning?
Doing
We're
good.
good.
Good, good. So tell me a little bit about this new TV show. I guess for the Harlem Globetrotters, the first time in 40 years you guys have had a TV series, and how this is going to work with your tour and everything. Good morning.
Good morning. So we have new series. We have a new host, Kenny the Jet Smith, NBA legend, sports analyst. He's going to be our host for season 3, which premieres October 5th on NBC's The More You Know. We're excited to be back. Fans will get an opportunity to get to know us off the court like they did in the first 2 seasons. But I think we're taking it to another level. I seen a teammate in the ocean surfing. I got an opportunity to go to Dollywood and hit an amazing trick shot. So fans tune in for season 3. We're Emmy nominated, but we're trying to win this year. So we need your support.
Absolutely.
All right, so tell me when we're an NBC affiliate. So tell us exactly one more time where we can watch it.
So every Saturday on NBC's The More You Know.
Wonderful, awesome. Okay, so now this is coinciding with your world tour. Tell me about that. Too Tall, what's going on with you, man?
Absolutely. Tickets go on sale today. You can go to HarlemGlobetrotters.com. You can learn about the players. You can buy jerseys. You can get basketballs, wristbands, headbands, programs. But tickets are on sale right now at HarlemGlobetrotters.com. We cannot wait to come back out to Memphis. One of my favorite places to play, not too far from where I live. So I definitely love coming out to Memphis to be with all our adoring fans.
I was going to say, when are you guys going to be in Memphis?
I got to check the date right here. So,
okay.
I believe it's going to be in January. I believe it's going to be in January.
Yeah.
So definitely check that list for. We'll be there. We'll be there in January.
Excellent, excellent. And I know it kicks off December 26th in Boston. You guys got a pair of basketballs there. I was just going to ask you if you guys, you guys are known for your trick shots and different things. You want to show us anything on camera?
Of course,
Yeah,
definitely.
show me your 2 ball.
All right, let me see if I can stand up real quick. Let me see if I can stand up. Let me see that ball real quick. So boom, I'm gonna do this real quick for you. Give me two spins. So spin one right here, one right here. You take one around like this, one around that way like that, and then you put it on top just like that right there.
Not bad. That is good. I love it. Sherelle, what about you?
Oh, this is my favorite trick, the ball spin. It's in my rookie year. It took me about 4 weeks to learn how to ball spin properly. Too Tall is an amazing ball handler. He could spin 2, 3 balls, but for me, the iconic ball spin is my favorite trick.
So tell me, for you guys personally, what is the most enjoyable aspect of going on tour and seeing the fans and performing on the court?
I'll say for me is playing in the Magic Pass. So definitely when I'm in Magic Pass, it's a free game that fans get to come out to, where I get a chance to answer questions, anything you want to ask about a Globetrotter, about my life, anything, and it lasts for 30 minutes. And then after the Q&A session, you get a chance to come down, take pictures, sign autographs, and I teach you how to spin the ball just like a Globetrotter. So it's very interactive with me. So I get a chance to talk to not only parents, but the kids and learn about some of the things they like to do, whether it's sports, whether it's arts, whether it's music, whether anything that they want to be in life. So that's very important to me, that I can learn about you for that time that you're there. And then after that, just put on a show for all the fans that's there, and then see all the smiles on the faces as you come out. And then when they leave, just to hear all the kind words like, man, we really enjoyed it. That's what we needed. I haven't seen my daughter or my son smile, but when we brought them here, like they laughed, they had fun, and they can't wait to come back. So that's just so fulfilling for me.
Same for me. Kids smiling, the fan interaction, the connection. Like, it doesn't stop after the game. So many fans reach out to me via social media, and the connection lasts forever. We become friends. We update each other. So for me, it's just the interaction and the connection that we have with our fans. So that's the best part for me.
That's fantastic. I brought my kids when they were younger to Harlem Globetrotters, and they still talk about it, and they remember it clearly. It's a fantastic organization and all that you guys do. Anything else you want to mention to our crowd here in Memphis, North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee?
Just make sure you go out to harlemglobetrotters.com. Get those tickets. They're on sale today. Like you said, we'll be in Memphis. We'll be in Mississippi and the surrounding areas. January 26th, go get those tickets. Can't wait to see all our fans. And make sure you check out our Emmy-nominated series. October 5th, play it forward on NBC every Saturday morning. Please, come on, check us out.
Okay, Lucius Too Tall Winston and Sherelle Torch George, we appreciate your time here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Congratulations on all your success, and we'll look for you in Memphis in January. Thanks very much.
Sounds good.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Our ability to hear, boy, that really plays an essential role in how we interact with the world, communicate with our friends and family, and enjoy life's simple pleasures. Yet many of us unknowingly suffer from hearing loss and overlook the subtle warning signs and symptoms. Now, let's bring in someone to give us a heads up on these early warning signs for hearing loss. I'm joined right now by MJ D'Souza, an audiologist and director of patient experience at Beltone. MJ, good morning to you. Where do we begin when it comes to early warning signs and symptoms of hearing loss? Where should we begin? Good morning.
Good morning. Great question. Some of the earliest warning signs are if you start to notice increased difficulty in noisy situations. So, for example, in a restaurant or in small groups where there might be multiple conversations happening, if you start to notice that you're asking for repetition a little more frequently in those situations, or coming away from them feeling really fatigued because of the increased concentration that's required. Other signs might include, if family or friends start noticing that you're misunderstanding things or listening to the TV or music louder than is comfortable for other people.
Is there a difference if we find these signs early of hearing loss as opposed to finding it, later on? And what is that difference, MJ?
Sure. Early intervention is so important, and that requires early identification. Hearing loss is the third most common chronic health condition in North America after heart disease and arthritis. So it's a lot more common than many people realize. And because it's invisible and generally happens gradually, we're very adaptable as humans, and so we often learn to live with it. And that can have very significant social, physical, and cognitive impacts. On the social side, we rely on hearing for communication, for example. So when you start to experience breakdowns in communication, whether they're on a personal level or even in an employment situation, that can have huge impact. It can lead to isolation, loneliness, underemployment, and even depression. On the physical side, untreated hearing loss has been linked with an increased risk of falling. So as we get older, that can have devastating consequences. And in terms of cognition and brain health, the ear detects the sound, but the brain is where we interpret that and understand the sounds that we're hearing. So it's really important to treat any hearing loss that you're having to ensure that those signals continue to go to the brain and remain active and strong.
You know, I was talking about this earlier, MJ. You know, we have earbuds, we have headphones, speakers, different things put in our ears all the time. Are we seeing nationally more people with hearing loss at an earlier age? And what can we do to prevent it?
Yeah, noise exposure is the single biggest modifiable risk factor when it comes to hearing loss. And we do have access to a lot more noise than we did years ago. And preventing it, I mean, limit your noise exposure is the easiest way. If you're listening to AirPods, music in your car, that type of thing, um, check the volume. You know, if you've got your AirPods in and you're unable to hear anything outside of any external noise, they're probably too loud. Um, and if you ever have the experience after listening to music or any type of loud sound for a prolonged period of time, and you come away from that with where your ears still plugged and a little bit muffled, that's a sign that some damage is occurring. And it's really important to give your ears a rest, which means spend some time in quiet.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like, and we've done stories about this, MJ, that, you know, our world is so much louder these days as opposed to 30, 40, 50 years ago. So there are some problems with that, I would think, when it comes to hearing. So how can we get assessed? Where can we go to really kind of get that assessment? If we just want to get an update, maybe there's some people out there that are thinking, I might have some issues. Where can they go to get assessed?
Yeah, and that's the easy part. For the month of May, Beltone is offering free hearing screenings. And to find out more about where you can go to get a free hearing screening, you can visit our website at beltone.com. That's BELTONE.com. You can also reach us at our 1-800 number. That's 1-800-BELTONE. And we have over 1,500 locations nationwide. So there's guaranteed to be a location near you where you can get a free hearing screening.
How has our world, that is so much louder these days than in previous generations, how has that impacted our hearing? Is that one of the things that you are seeing at Beltone, the fact that because our world is so loud with so much ambient noise and earbuds and all that, that we're just overall just experiencing more hear loss?
Yeah, you know, as I said, it is the third most common chronic health condition, and you know, as you said, the noise is becoming more of an issue. And when it comes to noise and preventing hearing loss, it's really important to think about noise in terms of your daily dose. So just be aware of all of the sources of noise that you encounter throughout your day. Things that we might not even think about. You know, for example, you get up in the morning, you dry your hair with a hairdryer. That's quite loud. So that's one noise exposure. Then on your commute, if you take a subway, a train, if you're driving and listening to music, that's another noise exposure. So if you think about it in terms of your daily noise dose, and just be aware of that, and try to reduce some of those sources throughout your day, that can help.
And then if you do have hearing loss, is the best thing to get a hearing aid? What would you recommend?
Yeah, if you do have hearing loss, start by getting a hearing assessment. And if you do have a treatable hearing loss, hearing aids are a great option. They're better than ever before. The sound quality is phenomenal now. I mean, there have been huge improvements over the years. And they even are fully integrated into our modern lifestyle. So, you know, most of us have smartphones. Our hearing aids with modern hearing aids, you can stream music direct from your smartphone to your hearing aids. You can even take phone calls through your hearing aids as well. So there have been huge advances. These are not your grandparents' hearing aids anymore.
All right, MJ D'Souza, we appreciate the time and the conversation. Valuable information for the thousands of people that join us on the Digital Desk each and every morning. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Halloween rapidly approaching, and for so many people, various seasonal celebrations, that can really bring in a need for increased vigilance for parents, for caregivers, for kids alike, especially those with food allergies. Let's bring in a couple of people to talk about this very issue. I'm joined now by Dr. Shahzid Mustafa, a board-certified allergist, and Margaret, and another guest there. It's not Margaret, or perhaps it is. Good morning to you both. First off, Dr. Mustafa, can you explain some of the food allergies that so many people run into during Halloween?
Yeah, so food allergies have been increasing recently. Common food allergens include peanuts, tree nuts, milk, eggs, wheat, soy, seeds, and seafood. I think it's very important to note that a food allergy is very different than a food sensitivity or a food intolerance. It's an immune-mediated reaction to the food that typically happens within minutes of exposure. It can range from mild, itching, or rash to severe, life-threatening anaphylaxis. So raising awareness is very important, and it's an exciting time right now as there's some new treatment options.
Okay, so Margaret, I understand that you are a mother to a 16-year-old boy who suffered a severe allergic reaction. Tell me about that, and how do you go about making sure Halloween celebrations and seasonal celebrations are okay?
So my son was diagnosed with food allergies to peanuts and tree nuts when he was 2. And shortly after that diagnosis, he actually was exposed to his allergen and had an anaphylactic reaction. So from that point on, we became very vigilant about label reading and communicating with family and friends and his school about his food allergy, and really having an open conversation with Matthew so that he felt comfortable to advocate for himself, and that it was just part of his life, that there was nothing wrong with him. This was just something that he had to be mindful of. So when it came to Halloween, from a young age, he felt most comfortable to go trick-or-treating and to make sure he told the homeowner that he had a peanut and tree nut allergy. And if they had a treat that was safe for him, he was happy to take it. If for some reason they didn't, when we would go through his bucket at the end of the night, we made sure to compensate him for the candy he was selling to us by paying him a quarter for each piece of candy. And fast forward to today, avoiding his allergen is still first and foremost part of his treatment. But with the guidance of his allergist, he is also using Xolair as part of his treatment.
Well, I'm so glad that he is okay, Margaret. And wow, that can be a scary situation for any parent out there, certainly for your 16-year-old son as well. Dr. Mustafa, what are some best practices for people during seasonal celebrations like Halloween? We have Christmas coming up as well, Thanksgiving. What are some best practices? Are there like maybe 3 or 4 bullet points that everyone should know about?
Yeah, I think hands down best practice starts with strict avoidance, reading labels, knowing ingredients of things you're eating if they're not packaged at a family, get together or around the holidays. Beyond strict avoidance, being prepared to treat accidental exposures with medications like epinephrine. And then therapeutic options. Oral immunotherapy was mentioned, and then Xolair, which is omalizumab, is the only option that's FDA approved for children and adults over the age of 1. It's a well-tolerated medication that increases the amount of allergen it takes to have a reaction, hopefully decreasing your likelihood of a reaction in setting of accidental exposure. Like any medication, there are risks and benefits. Most common side effects include local discomfort. It is an injectable medication, dosed every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the dose. And a risk of anaphylaxis has been reported with Xolair as well. So these are opportunities to have discussions with your healthcare team to decide what's best for you and your loved one, your family, and to manage your food allergy.
So, Dr. Mustafa, where can people go for more information about food allergies, treatment, and best practices?
Yeah, I really encourage individuals with food allergy, or if you know someone with food allergy, to speak to your healthcare provider, your healthcare team. Speak to a board-certified allergist about treatment options, what may be best for you. And you can also visit Xolair.com for more information.
Okay, thank you to you both on a very important topic, especially this time of season. We're entering into the holidays. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas, and I want to tell you about the University of Memphis Earth Sciences Department. They just received a grant for over $431,000, and it's for measuring and mapping the spatial distribution of chemical elements in the Earth's materials. I want to learn more a little bit about this. It's a great grant, and it's at the University of Memphis. And I'm joined now by Dr. Gary Stinchcomb. He's with the Earth Sciences Department. And Gary, I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. So tell me exactly where this grant is coming from and where it's going to be helpful for research at the University of Memphis. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on the digital desk here. The funding came through the National Science Foundation, which is a federal organization that funds a lot of basic scientific research in the United States. And the funding, we got the funding for this instrument. It's a micro X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, and as you pointed out, it's very useful for mapping the chemical composition of Earth materials and how that chemical composition varies spatially. And there's a lot of problems in Earth sciences where when we look at the chemical concentration of a material, whether it's a soil or sediment, river sediment, we only know the concentration of that material. We don't really know how it varies spatially. So this instrument will give us this ability to map the spatial distribution of that chemistry down to 5 microns, which, to give you a sense of how small that is, the width of a human hair is anywhere from 17 to like 180 microns. So we'll be able to understand the chemistry at a very small spatial scale.
So, for layman's people all around Memphis and the Mid-South, first off, congratulations on getting such a big grant and for the research and the data that's going to be able to come from this grant. Can you tell us in layman's terms why it's so important to measure and map the spatial distribution of chemical elements in Earth materials? Because, it might be hard to kind of grasp how important it is.
Yeah, let me first give you an analogy. Perhaps that'll help paint a better picture here. Imagine you're living in your house and you want to know how your house works. Traditionally, what we might do as an earth scientist is we might destroy your entire house into a powder and then characterize the chemistry of that powder. And that's informative. But as you know, and as everyone knows, the house has structure. There are rooms, there are walls, there are appliances, and understanding how that material is distributed through space helps us understand how your house works. And so it's something similar, for example, with earth materials, thinking about the soil underneath our feet. The nutrients in the soil are critical for helping plants grow. And we can measure the concentration of those nutrients like phosphorus or calcium. But that only gets us so far. And so just like the house, we want to know where that phosphorus or where that calcium is distributed within the soil. And that's going to help us answer questions like, okay, how is the plant acquiring phosphorus or calcium within the soil?
I appreciate that explanation. I was able to follow it very clearly, so thank you for that. So how long is this grant for? How long does it take to research this aspect?
Yeah, so this is an instrument acquisition grant that's going to last for about 3 years. And then we'll report to the NSF on an annual basis on our progress. So it's just a matter of getting the instrument. We're in the process of finalizing the purchase. The instrument should be shipped within a few weeks. And then we'll just start conducting the research. I should add that we also, as part of that $430,000 grant, we acquired some additional funding to help build the beginnings of an institute here, the Institute of MicroXRF, where that funding will support students on campus conducting research with the instrument, but also provide funding for students outside of University of Memphis to come to the university and use the instrumentation. And in addition to that, there's some funding built in there to help with education, in particular, bringing high school students on campus to help them understand how we can use this instrument to help us characterize earth materials.
So that's fantastic. So not only is this a huge research undertaking, but also students that are currently enrolled at the University of Memphis are going to be a part of this. Also, students that are looking at the University of Memphis are going to be a part of it too. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I think now that we are an R1 institution where we have research at a very high activity, we want the instrumentation that will allow the student to ask deep questions to push the science forward. And I think with this instrument and everything else that's happening on campus, we're headed in the right direction.
That sounds
so thank
great.
you.
Yeah, no worries. So final thing, we have thousands of people that watch us here on the Digital Desk. Anything else you want to mention just to the greater public about this grant, the study, the research, the students involved, anything else?
Yeah, thanks for actually mentioning that, because even though I'm sitting here talking to you about this instrument, I can tell you with a high degree of certainty that there were a lot of people involved in putting this proposal together from the Department of Earth Sciences and CSER on campus. But also, there's a lot of administrative support that makes these grants a possibility, from pre-award support coordinators, Emily Bowman, for example, all the way to post-award support. And so there's an infrastructure here with a lot of people helping to make this a reality. And I've got to give thanks to all of those folks.
Dr. Gary Stinchcomb, congratulations once again. Thanks for coming on the Digital Desk and really spelling it out, what this research entails and why it's so valuable, important, and it's great to see that the University of Memphis is leading the charge. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Myriad Genetics' latest survey revealed a big-time knowledge gap. Most women don't know that dense breast tissue may raise their cancer risk. Let's talk more about these new findings here. I'm joined by Dr. Effiana Stitt, an OBGYN, and also Ashley Dedman, a breast cancer previvor. Good morning, ladies, to you both. Dr. Stitt, can you explain why breast density is such an important factor to first diagnose? Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew, and thank you so much for having us both. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so such an important topic, and we're starting off the month, I think, right. With women who have dense breasts, there's a twofold issue. When we talk about dense breasts, we're not talking about what a woman can feel or see when they look in the mirror. We're talking about what the appearance of the breast is mammographically. So women with dense breasts have a whiter appearance to their breasts on mammograms, but the problem is so do things like calcifications and tumors. They also have a similar appearance. So that makes it difficult for your radiologist to interpret whether there's actually a cancer or not. In addition, a lot of cancers start in the glandular or the fibrous portion of the breast, which is what most women with dense breasts have. They have more of that glandular or fibrous portion, which is what makes it dense. And so it just makes it a little bit more challenging for the radiologist to interpret.
Ashley, over to you. Based on your experience, how did you learn about your breast density and how it affected your approach to screening and prevention?
Andrew, learning about my breast density and my BRCA2 mutation drastically changed my approach to screening and prevention. These two risks changed my standard of care. Since dense breast makes it harder to spot abnormalities on mammograms and the BRCA2 mutation increases my lifetime risk of breast cancer, I began screening at an earlier age, the age of 21. I also increased the frequency of my screenings as well as the types of exams that I received. Understanding these risks pushed me to advocate for myself to ensure I was receiving equitable care and the best technologies available.
So, Dr. Stitt, over to you. Many women are a little bit hesitant to get that regular breast exam. What would you say to those that are maybe unsure about the importance of these annual screenings? Because by all methods of looking at this, those annual screenings are so key and critical, are they not?
Oh, absolutely. Regular breast screening allows your provider to actually become a little bit more familiar with what your breasts appear like, especially on mammograms. And then it also allows that provider to kind of individualize your care and determine if you are at need for supplemental additional screening. And one of the other tools that we have in our toolbox is, as Ashley mentioned, family history. That is absolutely critical. Your family history will help us determine whether you are at even higher risk despite, your mammographic appearance of your breasts. And one of the tools, the main tool that, I certainly believe in is MyRisk Hereditary Cancer Test with Risk Score. This is the first and only clinically validated test that allows women of all ancestries to be identified appropriately. Most of the genetic testing that has been done in the world has been done on women of European ancestry. So this test is the first test that would allow a woman who looks like me, who looks like Ashley, to get a more accurate assessment. Women of Asian heritage, women of Hispanic heritage. It allows the most clinically accurate information so that you can make the appropriate decisions for each woman individually.
Yeah, I was going to ask Ashley, tell me about your genetic testing and how that played a role in all this.
Genetic testing was the pivotal moment in my life, helping me to understand my personal risk for breast cancer and other cancers. I do have a family history of breast cancer, 3 breast cancers on my mother's side. My mother had metastatic breast cancer, and my father is a prostate cancer survivor. The myriad MyRisk provided insight beyond what I could see, beyond what I could feel, and it gave me the knowledge to be able to make informed decisions about my health. It gave me a roadmap that began with early initiation to screening, as well as making lifestyle changes. And I also had a preventative double mastectomy at the age of 31 to reduce my risk. Finally, this information allowed me to be able to have honest conversations with my family members about their potential risks, which helped them to be able to make informed decisions about their health as well.
Dr. Stitt, we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Where can people go to get more information about this?
Yes, I would implore each and every one of your viewers to go to getmyrisk.com. It allows for you to get more information so that you can actually partner with your provider, your primary care, your gynecological provider, to go in and figure out exactly how to get an individualized risk assessment for yourself and tailor your care for what your needs are.
Okay, ladies, we appreciate it. Dr. Stitt, Ashley Denman, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. Valuable information as we enter into Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, now the live look from our High Five camera downtown as we go to break here. It is 67 degrees at 8:06. Your forecast in 1 minute.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s to kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe one or two puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again, along with the moisture. Actually, the humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, could still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day. And again, 58 in the city. means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting to 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday, and it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday that may kick up an isolated shower chance, and then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. There was a new survey. It was a national survey from Discover, and it said 80% of American consumers are anxious about their financial situation. That doesn't surprise me. We've seen this all across Memphis and the Mid-South time and again. Some of the factors involved: high inflation, everyday expenses, the economy, income, debt. Those are among the top stressors fueling the anxiety. Again, this is due to a national survey here from Discover. Financial stress is severe. Let's talk about ways to reduce that stress that we have so often in this economy and in this world that we live in. I'm joined right now by Dan Nickel, VP of Discover Personal Loans, joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. So, Dan, good morning to you. Tell me more about this national survey. I think it was your group that put it together.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. You mentioned the headline. 80% of Americans are feeling some level of financial anxiety. Perhaps not surprising, but it is certainly something we'd like to see come down over time. And unfortunately, that number has remained consistently high for the last 3 years. That 80% number is virtually the same result we've had for 3 years running. And at the top of the factors that are contributing to financial stress are high inflation and high everyday expenses, two things that are very closely associated with one another.
They certainly are. And where do you think, Dan, that people make their biggest mistakes when it comes to, financial anxiety and making things worse? Where do people go wrong?
I think being unprepared is one thing. Ideally, everyone would have an emergency fund. But the other thing, if they're already in debt, is not believing that they can get out of it. So our survey found that 1/3 of Americans don't expect to ever get out of debt. And that's quite discouraging. I'm more of an optimist, and I believe that there's quite a bit that people can do, from making a budget, but also to potentially taking out a consolidation loan that might allow them to lower the rate that they're paying on their debt so they can get out of it faster.
Yes, I've heard that. That is a great idea and suggestion. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about some ways to minimize that stress, that anxiety that we all have, or many of us have, I should say, around our financial situation. Dan.
Yeah, so we found that Gen Z, for example, 42% of them don't even want to look at their financial statements or their bank statements. That's not going to be a winning strategy. So you have to get out your bank statements, and you have to start with a solid budget. You want to have a good understanding of everything that's coming in, of course, but also where it's going so that you can put those dollars to work as hard as they can for you. And if possible, eliminating expenses is going to allow you to allocate more of your hard-earned income towards paying down debt. That's the key. You got to put more towards debt so you can get out of debt faster.
So does that mean, I know some people out there that, they'll say, well, I have this huge car payment and I have this mortgage that I got to pay and I got 3 kids and they have their expenses. And so I need to take a second or a third job. I mean, what do you tell someone like that? We have thousands of people that watch here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, Dan, and they're probably wondering a little bit of the same. Where do we begin?
Yeah, I think that stress is understandable. It's been challenging. Incomes have not kept pace with the rising costs out there. And so you have to be prepared and you have to understand your options. That's what I tell people is that they can do it. And they want to look at ways that they can reduce the cost of their debt and be prepared for anything that might come at them in an unexpected way. A water heater can go out at any minute. You have to have a plan so that you're ready to confront those things and not put yourself into a deeper hole.
Okay, so if we're doing bullet points right here, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like the top bullet point needs to be create a cash reserve account, and that's for any kind of emergencies out there. Take me through maybe 2 more or 3 more bullet points.
Yeah, so an emergency fund is going to give you that cushion for when something comes. That's the top of the list. The next thing is to make a budget. There's so many different budgeting strategies out there, and there's different ways to go about it. But look up the one that you feel most comfortable with, pull out a pencil and paper, and understand each line item of your personal balance sheet. The next thing is to look for opportunities within that budget to allocate more money towards debt. And then the last thing I would say is to look for opportunities to reduce the interest rate you're paying on any debt. A consolidation loan is a great way to potentially get that win.
I like it. I like it. These are tangible options for our audience out there to start reducing debt and reducing that financial anxiety. Anything else you want to mention, Dan, before we let you go that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, what I would say is that when you're choosing a provider for a personal loan, you want to make sure that you pick one with no origination fee. An origination fee erodes how much of the cash from that loan you get in your pocket that you could put towards debt payments. And so if you took out a $20,000 loan and it had an origination fee, you might only get $18,000 in your pocket, but you'd be tasked with paying back the full $20,000. So look for a provider that's going to offer a loan with no origination fee. Discover Personal Loans is proud to offer such a product, and your audience can check their rate without any impact to their credit score at discoverpersonalloans.com.
DiscoverPersonalLoans.com. Managing debt, reducing financial anxiety. Dan Nickel, VP of Discover Personal Loans. Really appreciate the tangible options that you gave us here. Great news you can use. Thanks so very much for coming on the Digital Desk. We appreciate it. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Get this, more than 64 million Americans live with a disability, and most of them do not have the help of a service dog. Service dogs can do amazing things. It's really incredible how you can train them to pull wheelchairs, turn on light switches, open and close doors and drawers, pick up various items that have dropped, and plenty more. In fact, service dogs are more than just companions. They are essential partners in helping people navigate the world for so many. Many of them have disabilities. Let's bring in a couple of ladies here to talk more about the importance of service dogs and what they mean for our country. I'm joined now by Raquel White. She is with Corporate Affairs and Eukanuba. And then I have Paige Mazzioni. She is with Canine Companions. Ladies, good morning to you both. Let's talk a little bit about, first off, Paige, let's go to you and talk a little bit about the service dog industry and the involvement in training these dogs. Good morning.
Good morning. So as you said, 64 million Americans and growing have a disability that can be helped with the support of a service dog. And at Canine Companions, we train service dogs and place them with people with over 65 different disabilities, everything from physical disabilities to cognitive disabilities to hearing loss to military-related PTSD. And we place our dogs with children, adults, and veterans free of charge. We also have facility dogs who work with professionals in settings like the criminal justice system, hospitals, and education, and they help many people every day. And we have a 98% success rate with our matches with our clients.
How long does it take to train a service dog? Does it depend?
No, it takes about 2 years total. We invented the concept of the modern service dog in 1975, and we created the methods of training to teach the tasks that mitigate the symptoms of a disability. And since then, we've evolved our training at our 7 campuses where our professional trainers train our dogs in over 45 tasks. And as you said, those tasks can be everything from opening doors, picking up items, many, many tasks that mitigate the symptoms of a disability. We also make sure that we look at the aptitude of the dog and place it with a person that's well matched for their future partnership.
Yeah, amazing video that was just shown about all the different things that service dogs can do for so many different people. Raquel, over to you. Tell me about Eukanuba and some of the different programs they have in place from now until the end of the year to support the training of these dogs.
Absolutely. You know, for more than 30 years, Eukanuba has partnered with Canine Companions to provide the science-based nutrition that pets need, that these service dogs need, especially formulated, because it is so important to be involved with an organization like this that does so much for so many people in a specific community. This year, we have a program called Feed Eukanuba, Fuel Independence, and it's where through the end of the year, you can buy a 28-pound bag or larger of Eukanuba dog food, and $20 will go to Canine Companions to support their mission and to help them with the funds, because as Paige said, you know, they give these dogs to people with disabilities absolutely free of charge. So this is to help them with that.
That's fantastic. You know, I love that. And Paige, is there a back order? I don't know how else to say it, but is there a greater demand for service dogs than there are service dogs?
Absolutely. There is a huge demand, and we are constantly trying to grow to place more dogs with more people because that demand continues to grow. And we do have an instructor here who can show some of the tasks if you'd like to see it.
Would love to see it. Let's see it.
All right, Thorn. Thorn, get. Good job, buddy. Come on. Thorn, lap. Good job. Good. Give. Good job, buddy. Good. Off. Very nice. Good.
That is fantastic. I love it. Live demonstration right here on the digital desk. Appreciate that, ladies. Raquel, if someone wants to be a part of this, perhaps donate to this campaign, even if they don't have a dog, how can they do that?
You know, it's so important for people to get involved. So like you said, to donate, Canine Companions is a 501c3 charity, and so any amount is welcomed and needed. You can also volunteer. They have a number of volunteer opportunities. You can volunteer to fundraise for them. You can even volunteer to become a puppy raiser, which I can't imagine anything better. Or like we mentioned, you can buy the Eukanuba food. So if you'd like to learn more, you can visit eukanuba.com/US/canine-companions.
Excellent. And Paige, anything else before we let you go? I love who's sitting between you two right there.
This is Jingle. Jingle loves to be loved and loves to love, as you can tell. So the dogs are great at performing tasks. They're also great at giving love. He's demonstrating.
Well, ladies, listen, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for really kind of shedding a light on this issue and really giving us detailed information about it. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s to kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe one or two puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again, along with the moisture. Actually, humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, could still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day, and again, 58 in the city means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting the 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday, and it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday that may kick up an isolated shower chance. and then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Time for a little daily dose of positivity. We got Talisa Franklin here to give us an update on some of the community highlights and events that are happening over the next few days. Talisa, how's it going on this Tuesday? Good morning.
Great morning to you. It is going absolutely amazing. It'll get really, really great because I look forward to my Tuesdays with you and my entire family here at Bluff City. So I get excited, right? Because life is amazing. God is amazing.
Amen to that, and I love seeing your billboards up on I-240 and all across the city, just saying amazing, positive things. God loves you, and what's the other one? What does it say?
God loves you. I love you, Memphis, and you're amazing.
Yes. I love it. I love it, Talisa. So what's going on?
It's always trying, for me, Andrew, I'm always trying to figure out how do we connect the dots to make people smile and to make sure that we bring people the information, because so many times that people just sometimes like, man, I missed this great event. How did I miss that? And so I'm all about seeing how can I connect the dots with my life, to connecting dots to people, to make people smile. And of course, this week is no different, y'all. Today, it kicks off Hoop to Be Heard. I am so proud of Commissioner Brittany Thornton with this vision of Hoop to Be Heard, because I know that basketball has saved so many of our young people because it's been an outlet. It has been a coping mechanism. And I just love what she's doing. And it's in so many different communities this week. And so I need everybody, listen, if you have someone in your life, especially a young person, and they feel like they're not being heard and they're not being valued, this is the weekend for them to get to this space. It starts today. It kicks off at the Whitehaven Center. Then he goes to Bethel LaBelle Center. Then he goes to Pine Hill. Then he goes to Glenview. And it ends up with the Mound, baby. Oh, you can't even see my mouth, all right? But listen, it's going to be an amazing time. There's going to be great basketball opportunities to play. Not only that, food trucks, who don't like a DJ? And then most of all, the resources that we need so that we can help our young people in our community not just survive, but thrive. And I'm just so proud of Commissioner Brittany Thornton that is really doing the work, District 10, that she's actually doing the work to help our community and help especially our young generation, with her being such a young, beautiful young lady that's in leadership, a great light for that generation. And I just want to invite everybody out to bring them out, Hoop to Be Heard, more than just basketball. So they're thinking they're coming for basketball, but they're going to get all those other resources that they need so they can just not survive right here in the Bluff City of Memphis, Tennessee, but they have an opportunity to thrive. So make sure you get out there. And then y'all know this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Shout out to all of the survivors. Know that I love you and I love you and I love you. I know so many survivors, and I'll tell my story later, but I'm super excited about what this event is going on, the Strike Out Breast Cancer. Today is the last day to sign up your team. Listen, Charles Winton and his Alliance team does this amazing event every single year, and it's a great way to have fun and bowling, meet other people that wants to believe in the same vision you do, that we're going to strike out breast cancer with awareness and just have fun. And so make sure if you have not signed up, and you ought to go immediately and sign up for Strike Out Breast Cancer, and shout out to Dr. Charles Winton for all that you do in the mental health space, and more so what you're doing to celebrate and acknowledge Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So y'all make sure today is the last day to sign up those teams. It's always a great time. Anytime you be amongst people in Memphis, it's always a great time. So let's get out, meet some new friends, and have a great time. And let's strike out breast cancer. I'm excited about that. And then you all know that I am always loving educators, and educators are the backbone of our life for our children to learn. And so I want to shout out to the Endorse educators group that is doing strategies group, that is doing the work with bringing these teachers lounges to our community like every month. And I love how these are real educators in real classrooms with real solutions, not real problems, with real solutions to our community's problems. And so I want to invite you out to a teachers networking series, the Teachers Lounge. It is happening on October the 10th, with this next week. So go ahead and save the date. It's happening in Mahogany, Memphis, y'all. Such a beautiful restaurant in Memphis. But let's get out there. Amazing speakers, amazing people. And for me, all of these speakers, I have such a love for Commissioner Erica Sugarman. She's always got her finger on the pulse of our community. Rachel Spriggs, that truly do understand the Equity Alliance that she leads. She's all about building equity in our communities. And then you have Tim Green, that has always got his pulse on the finger to making sure everything is being valued and solid, especially for men in the educational world. And who does not love Memphis for All, Tequila Rucker? Let me tell you, that panel, let me tell you, you don't want to miss it, because it's going to be amazing. So if you are an educator, you have love for education, and you want to see our education move to another level right here in the city of Memphis, I ask of you to meet us there on October the 10th from 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. because it's going to be a great conversation. I think that's where it starts. Let's have a conversation together to move our community to the best that we know our community to be. Hey, I'm so excited, Andrew. So it's going to be another great week of doing great things right here in the city of Memphis.
I know it. It's always a great week, and it's going to be even better. And my day just got better just listening to you and highlighting so many amazing events across Memphis and the Mid-South. We appreciate your time, Talisa. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, another live look from our High Five camera here, downtown Memphis. It is right now 70 degrees at 8:37. Let's talk about your forecast in 1 minute.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s. The kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe 1 or 2 puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again, along with the moisture. Actually, humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, could still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day, and again, 58 in the city means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting to 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday, and it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday that may kick up an isolated shower chance, and then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. There has been some new research that has recently been documented with the Alzheimer's Association. And this research covers 3 different areas, everything from blood tests to GLP-1, which is Ozempic, those sort of things, and processed red meat. And this research is, as I mentioned, recent, and it is something that really gives us more of an idea of maybe the factors involved with dementia and Alzheimer's. Let's bring in someone with the Alzheimer's Association. Amy French is a research champion and senior program manager with the Alzheimer's Association. She's joining us now on the digital desk. Amy, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about this recent research and what, from your perspective, you see as the most valuable aspects to it. Good morning.
Good morning. And thank you so much for having us on to talk about these important developments. And my role with the association is to bring this information to the living rooms, to have the honor and the privilege to attend so many of these scientific convenings like the Alzheimer's Association International Conference that I just came from, and learn about what's happening in the field and bringing it to the living rooms of the yous and me's of the world. So the blood test. As we know, the diagnostic process for Alzheimer's disease is very complex right now, and it requires extensive cognitive testing, usually brain imaging, that is expensive and not always paid for by insurance and not accessible to everyone, things like PET scan imaging. So a blood test that is now FDA approved as of this month will bring that capability of the primary care physician to do a preliminary blood test screening that will show at about a 90% accuracy rate the presence in the blood of what's called biomarkers or indicators that the disease process is happening in the brain. And that will, of course, accelerate diagnosis. It will eliminate the burden that is currently on specialists like neurologists and gerontologists who often have to do that preliminary screening. With that screening being done in advance, we know that there's a desert of specialists like neurologists and cardiologists. So it would take the burden off of them and enable primary care physicians to accelerate diagnosis and move forward with that. So that's very exciting and really groundbreaking news in the disease process.
It sounds like it. So, Amy, just so we're clear, I just wanted to ask you, so if someone, for example, we have thousands of people that watch us here on the digital desk, if someone were to go and maybe get a physical, okay, and they draw blood, is this blood test that you mentioned is FDA approved, could they say with that blood test, okay, look, you're only 35 or 45, but you have biomarkers that suggest that you could have dementia or Alzheimer's later in life? Is that how it works?
The long and short of it is yes. That test is not widely used yet. Obviously, it was just approved and made available, so it's not widely used. But that is what we envision for the very near future, for it to be a predictive test. As we know, the disease process for most chronic progressive diseases, be it kidney disease, heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease, the disease process begins long before symptoms become obvious. And if you wait until symptoms are obvious, then the ability to manage that disease is greatly reduced. So yes, as a diagnostic tool, not yet widely used, again, just made available, but that is a very realistic and strong expectation.
Yeah, I would think that anyone who has an opportunity to get this kind of test, to get it as soon as possible, because then the earlier you get it and the more that you have biomarkers, and the earlier, that means the earlier you can do things to stave off the dementia and Alzheimer's and do things to really kind of combat against some of the ugliness that we see of that disease. Is that right?
That's true. And to be very clear, we do not have at this point in the research game, we don't have the ability to stop the disease entirely. We don't have the ability to prevent the disease entirely. Again, this is true of many chronic progressive illnesses as well. It doesn't make it acceptable, but it doesn't make Alzheimer's an exception in that regard. So what we really are looking at, as again, I keep saying it, with chronic progressive diseases, is lifestyle interventions that really can make a difference in our risk factors for developing things like Alzheimer's and other chronic diseases. And by that, I mean things like one of the studies that I think you wanted to talk about today was the study about processed red meat. And that study backs up 100% the idea through a study that was done for over 130,000 healthcare professionals over the course of 40 years. So this is not just some fly-by-night study that goes, oh yeah, that's probably true. It is evidence-based research that shows that the consumption of 2 to 3 portions of something like bacon, or I hate to hate on bacon because everybody loves bacon, but 2 to 3 portions a week increases your risk of cognitive decline by 14%. That's a pretty significant percentage, and especially in regard to something that we do have control over and we can change. That doesn't mean you have to give up bacon forever. Maybe 2 or 3 times a month, it's fine. It's probably not going to hurt you. And also the good news is that unprocessed red meats, like just your normal healthy meat that you buy that's not full of nitrites and preservatives and sodium, it doesn't seem to have any factor at this point in time on your risk. So we're looking at pretty much, excessive use of processed meats that is the culprit here.
Gotcha. So, hot dogs, sausages, bacon, those traditional things, not necessarily, like red meat when you say steak, or, a piece of pork or something like that that's unprocessed, right?
And yes, that's correct. And the guidelines that are in place for a healthy diet, like the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, all of those guidelines are still very, very much recommended in regard to overall health. We're just showing through this study that it just backs up everything that we already know about a healthy diet and the scientific evidence that's there in regard to what's good for the heart is good for the brain.
Right. And so, Amy, I'm reading from one of the things from the Alzheimer's report, and it says that processed meat, as we've been talking, raises the risk of dementia, but if you swap it for nuts and beans, it will lower the risk. And you mentioned earlier how this was a 4-decade study of more than 130,000 people. So it wasn't a small group and it wasn't a small timeline. We're talking a huge, that's a beautiful study, if you will, because it covers so many different people over such a long period of time.
Yeah, and it really gives us irrefutable evidence that, again, has been backed up time and time again. There are subsequent studies that are being funded by the Alzheimer's Association, even as we speak, to hone it down and get a better understanding of the impact of things like the processed meats and other dietary factors that we know from past evidence are not healthy, understanding better why exactly it is that these particular things like the nitrites, like the high sodium, do increase our risk. Understanding why the risk is increased can help us understand how to better reduce that risk and mitigate that risk, not just through the elimination or the significant reduction of those products, but also in regard to research in general, understanding the disease better.
Okay, and Amy, finally, I want to go to the third aspect, and this was the GLP-1. So this is things like Wegovy, Ozempic, and how it may protect against dementia. Explain the results coming out of this.
Yeah, so those studies indicate that the weight loss drugs may have a protective quality for the brain. We also know that those drugs really haven't been on the market for a long time, so we haven't had the opportunity to do really longitudinal studies. But preliminary indicators indicate that there's a very good possibility that there is some protective quality. Now, that doesn't mean that those medications are going to now be the norm for a person who has Alzheimer's to go on those medications. That's not what the takeaway is. The takeaway is that it's yet another avenue of hope, yet another avenue that is being explored. We know that the relationship between what creates risk factors for diabetes and other metabolic diseases are also risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. So knowing that medications that can help mitigate those metabolic type disorders might be indicated in also mitigating Alzheimer's risk and Alzheimer's progression is very encouraging and very significant. Isn't it wonderful when a medication comes on the market that's just not a one-trick pony, that it has a lot of other benefits as well?
No, I'm very encouraged by these recent breakthroughs. I think I may have mentioned it to you and perhaps some of your colleagues that my dad has Alzheimer's, and so we go through it as a family together. And I do a lot of things with the Alzheimer's Association and I love learning about these breakthroughs because it's so valuable for so many people out there. Where can our audience look at some of these breakthroughs and kind of read for themselves? Is there a place online?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Of course there is. Our website is your absolute go-to. It's alz.org, alz.org. That simple. We also have a toll-free helpline at 1-800-272-3900, and I hope that you'll flash that on the screen for us. Both are great resources. I encourage people, especially if you're overwhelmed as a caregiver, and as a caregiver yourself, this is the norm to feel overwhelmed as a caregiver. Sometimes going to the Google net, as they say, can be really scary and intimidating and overwhelming. Even our website, which is 100% evidence-based, if you see it on the Alzheimer's Association website, you know that it's true. You know that it's not a fly-by-night study, a scheme to get you to buy a product or whatever. You know it's legit. So our toll-free number is a great resource too that I think is drastically underutilized. You can ask a question about anything. You can ask a question about what we just talked about today, about the blood test, about whether Ozempic is going to help reduce your risk. It doesn't have to be a deep, intense question. It can be anything you need and want to know about Alzheimer's disease. We are in the business of education and support, along with, of course, funding the research and even providing research studies as well. That's our business. It's what we do. We are here to help. We're here to help in whatever way we can. And that means one-on-one. If it's a one-on-one conversation with our helpline, and it helps even one small bit in helping you understand your risk, mitigating your risk, or understand your role as a caregiver and how to best provide care for your loved one. All those things are so important, and that's why we're here. And we want people to help us do our job. We want to have people that we can serve.
Amy French, we really appreciate this conversation. Thank you so much for letting us know about these recent breakthroughs, valuable information that people can check out at alz.org. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s to kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe one or two puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again. along with the moisture. Actually, humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, can still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day, and again, 58 in the city means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting the 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday, and it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday that may kick up an isolated shower chance, and then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
Andrew Douglas here. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Believe it or not, we are not too far away from Halloween and all the trick-or-treaters, the candy. Best way to celebrate the holiday season is, when we talk Halloween, of course, is chocolate and candy, of course. So what's America's favorite candy? That's a good question, right? A lot of times they split it up with different regions all across the country. Let's talk about that right now with Carly Scheitelhaus. She's a spokesperson with the National Confectioners Association. So, Carly, good to see you on the digital desk. Tell us, what is some of the more favorite candies out there? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Halloween season. And as you said, we can't talk about Halloween without talking about chocolate and candy. We knew people would want to know the top treats for trick-or-treaters, so we asked the question. Coming in at number one, probably not a surprise, is chocolate. People love it year-round, and if you're looking for a little twist on Halloween for chocolate, the top treat shapes for Halloween are bats, pumpkins, and ghosts. So any chocolate in that shape is a great bet. Next up, we have gummy candy and chewy candy. So if you are one of the 2/3 of Americans looking for a spookier take on your treats, who wants something a little creepy, a little scary, gummy and chewy candy have a lot of options. And then, of course, we can't talk about top Halloween treats without the admittedly controversial candy corn. No matter how you feel about it, candy corn is an iconic part of the Halloween season and a top treat for Americans.
Yeah, people have fierce reactions to candy corn. They either love it or hate it, nothing in between, no question about it. How much excitement is there for Halloween? It seems where I live, the excitement's always been big and it just gets bigger every year.
There is so much enthusiasm for the Halloween season, and we can see it in a really extended season. We saw people talking about things that they called Summerween and October because Halloween is about more than just October 31st. It's a whole season of preparing, decorating, enjoying treats, planning out your costume. And then for everybody on October 31st who is going to go trick-or-treating, there's plenty of chocolate and candy to go around. 97% of people say they will give out chocolate and candy for trick-or-treaters on October 31st.
So how do we enhance the holiday season? We got our chocolate, we got our candy, gummies, candy corn, whatever else. Any other special moments you want to hit on?
I mean, chocolate and candy have this really unique ability to brighten spirits, lighten moods, change perspectives, and add that little bit of sweetness, whether it's the Halloween season, whether it's a special occasion, an everyday little treat yourself moment. But at the same time, people really do understand that chocolate and candy are treats. People in the US enjoy chocolate and candy about 2 to 3 times per week, which averages just 40 calories and 1 teaspoon of added sugar per day. And that does include these big, what we like to call candy moments, like the Halloween season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can certainly talk all about candy, chocolate, till the cows come home. By the way, candy corn. So what do you hear from your perspective? Do people love it? Do people hate it? Are there more people that love it? Are there less? Where do we stand on all this, Carly?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a top treat, so there are definitely people who love it. But as you said, it's pretty polarizing. It's a big topic of conversation. Do people enjoy it? And then the big debate to turn a controversial treat even more controversial is when you start asking people what the right way to eat candy corn is. So we asked, Americans are kind of split. 28% of people start with that smaller white end and eat it layer by layer. 15% of people start with that wider yellow end and then eat those layers. But more than half of Americans, 57% of them, they just go for it. They eat that whole piece at once.
I love it. And I love this conversation, Carly. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
If you're looking for any tricks for treating for the Halloween season, visit alwaysatreat.com/Halloween and please join the conversation on social media using the hashtag HalloweenTreats.
All right, Carly, thank you for a spooky interview. Not really, just a great, sweet interview on the digital desk. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, happy Halloween season.
Happy Halloween season it is. Okay, another live look from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. Got some clouds out there as we go to break. 72 degrees, 9:07. Let's talk about your forecast in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s to kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe one or two puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again. Along with the moisture, actually humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, could still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day, and again, 58 in the city means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting the 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday, and it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday that may kick up an isolated shower chance, and then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
Morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. So last week, if you were following the business news, the big business news of the week was that the Fed slashed interest rates by 0.5 point. What does that mean to the average Memphian, Mid-Southerner? What should we do? Should we save more money? Should we go out and buy things, a new car or a new house? a lot of people are wondering, what does this mean? Well, let's bring in someone to talk about this very issue. I'm joined right now by Chris Evans. He's Vice President of Southern Serenity Federal Credit Union. Chris, thanks for joining us on the digital desk. So where do we begin when we tell the average Memphian, this is what you should do, or this is what it means for you when the interest rates are cut by a half a point? What do we tell them? Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Yeah, it's a great time for borrowers. With the Fed funds rate dropping by 0.5%, that likely means lower payments for borrowers that have home equity lines of credit. It could be lower payments for people with credit cards. As that interest rate drops, those payments will drop, and that should start for most people in November.
Okay, so when we say a half percentage point cut, what does that translate to when it comes to all the interest rates that we all deal with? Our car loan, our credit card loan, the loan on our house.
Yeah, so with credit cards and home equity lines of credit, many of those are tied directly to that Fed funds rate. So you could see a direct 0.5% drop. With things like auto loans, usually not a direct correlation to that 0.5%, but auto loan rates you will see come down as well. Mortgages are tied more toward a longer rate. The Fed funds rate is an overnight rate. But mortgage rates have been dropping, as a lot of us have seen over this past year. So those are coming down as well.
All right. So for the average Memphian that's out there, and we have thousands of people that join us each and every morning here on the digital desk, what do we tell them? Is this a good time to save money, buy stuff? What do you think?
Well, unfortunately, the other side for the savers is these rates are coming down. So the 5% certificate rates that a lot of our savers were seeing, those are kind of more in the fours now, and lower fours. But great news for the borrowers. Those rates are coming down, and they're even projected to come down further. So the the FOMC is projected to lower that Fed funds rate by an additional 0.5% by year end, and then an additional full percent in 2025. So it's getting to be a better time to buy, and it looks like in the future it's even becoming even better for borrowers to get things like vehicles, purchase your vehicle, home equity lines of credit. So if you're putting a pool in or renovating your home, and certainly credit cards as well. Much needed relief.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chris, let me ask you this, because a lot of people are like, okay, I get it, but I'm not going to buy a new house or a new car anytime soon. What about gas? What about groceries? Because we know inflation has been killing so many average Memphians out there. Will it affect that?
Unfortunately, it's not going to affect inflation or affect inflation. Actually, it's kind of a byproduct of inflation. So as inflation is coming down, the FOMC is seeing that, and they're reducing these very restrictive rates that we have in place. They're punishing a lot of us that are borrowing. So it's not going to necessarily decrease inflation. But like I mentioned, for folks that are carrying balances on credit cards, there'll be less interest tacked on to your credit card at the end of every month as these rates continue to drop. And for a lot of us that have these home equity lines of credit, those payments, interest-only payments, are going to be dropping starting with that November payment. So that's where maybe you have a little bit more money in your pocket at the end of the month to spend money on things like groceries and gas.
I appreciate you spelling it out for us. So final question is really open to you. Anything else you want to mention that the public you think should know about with regards to this 0.5% interest rate cut?
It's just a great time to go to your local credit union, certainly Southern Security Federal Credit Union, and get an auto loan rate or any sort of borrowing that you're looking at doing. Now, over the next 12 to 15 months, we're going to get some much needed relief. So we have more information on our website, southernsecurity.org. welcome to go there and click the Contact Us page, and we'll be happy to go over in depth further about what these rate cuts can mean for you.
Okay, Chris Evans, Southern Security Federal Credit Union, joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. We appreciate your time, and thanks for spelling it out in a very easy to understand way, Chris. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
All right, another live look from our Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Next month, of course, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it is something that is helping to bring more awareness to mammograms, making sure that we all make sure that our loved ones and our family members get those checkups needed each and every year. Let's bring in someone to talk a little bit about extended hours for mammograms at St. Francis Hospital. I'm joined right now by Tin Dong. She is the radiology manager at St. Francis Hospital. Good morning to you, Tin. Tell us a little bit about what this means for St. Francis Hospital, the extended hours for mammograms. Is this beginning in the month of October? Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me. Everyone is so busy working all the time and thinking about those people. We're going to extend our mammograms hours from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m. every Monday for the whole entire month of October. So you can come out and get your mammograms done after your work.
Okay, great. And is this for St. Francis Hospital in Bartlett and in Memphis?
Yes, sir. So the hours are extended at both campuses. You can call the 901-820-7575 and just let them know which location you want to come and schedule your exams done.
Okay, and so extended hours, what exactly does that mean? Are we talking all day, evening? How far in the evening?
So usually we wrap it up around 4 o'clock, but for the month of October, on every Monday, we will stay and work until 6 o'clock to get everyone accommodated in case they want to get their mammograms done, but they don't have time because we close at 4 o'clock.
Gotcha. And we know the annual mammogram exam is so valuable and so important for so many women out there. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of mammograms?
Yes, sir. So, within last year, they changed the guidelines. They are now recommended women to get their mammogram at the age of 40. And then people are like, oh, this is so early. Why at 40 years old? But within the last 2 years, I have 3 friends who are recently diagnosed with breast cancer. One is late 30s and 2 was in their early 40s. And the key to all of this is early preventative, early detection. So if you get your mammograms done early, it's going to be a lot easier in the long run for you.
Okay, so this is extended hours every Monday throughout October from 4 until 6 o'clock in the evening, just to make it available for people who perhaps have jobs and are busy doing other things. They can come to St. Francis Hospital either in Memphis or Bartlett during these extended hours. Anything else you wanted to mention right now before we let you go?
Yes, sir. So, a lot of time women or caregivers in the family we take care of our parents, our children, and we have so much to do, and we put ourselves behind. So we always say, we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it next month, and then next time come around, it's next year. But when it comes to breast cancer, tomorrow might be too late. So get your mammogram done, give us a call, we'll take good care of you.
Okay, Ying Dong, excuse me. Thank you so much for joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Valuable information for all women out there, especially in the month of October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. The Candlelight Concert Series is set to light up Memphis Brooks Museum of Art in Memphis with some special Halloween-themed shows. Of course, next month, we're already in October next month. We're finishing out the last few days of September. Let's talk about these Halloween-themed shows with Deidre Scott. She's a senior project manager with Fever. And Deidre, thanks for joining us on the Digital Desk. So tell me about these Halloween-themed shows. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited to chat with you, Andrew, about our Candlelight Concerts and specifically the Haunted Evening of Halloween Classics. We'll be at the Memphis Brooks Museum of Art on the 25th and on the 30th. And people can expect an enchanting concert with some iconic movie soundtracks such as The Addams Family, Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters, The Exorcist, Thriller, and that's not even half of it. It promises to be a fun and spooky night to celebrate Halloween in a unique way.
That sounds really unique. I love those shows and those movies that you mentioned. That's a great time. So tell me how it works. If someone wants to go on October 25th or October 30th, what do they do?
Yeah, you can download the Fever app on the Google Play Store or Apple Store, or you can head to our website, feverup.com. And once you select Memphis as your city, you could see a wide array of other concerts. We've got a tribute to Lauryn Hill. We've got neo-soul favorites with some Prince and Childish Gambino on there. So there's a lot of different things that you can see when you download the app or you head onto the website. And then you could also get your Halloween tickets.
Okay, so then once you get those tickets, then what do? You show up at the Brooks, you go inside, and it's all transformed?
It's a completely unique concert experience. We have transformed, as you said, the concert going experience. We've added visual dynamic dimension with candles and thousands of candles to light up the space, and you'll be hearing renditions of some of your favorite songs on a classical string quartet composition and arrangement. So you can expect to be there for about an hour and hear a little bit more about the history of classical music, the history of some of the compositions, as well as meet some really talented local musicians at the Beale Street Quartet.
Okay, and so this is for you said everybody 8 years old and up. And how much are the tickets?
Yeah, starting price for our tickets are from $10.98, and then we anywhere from $35. And you could also purchase a like snapshot photo so that you can get a photo with the amazing enchantment experience with the candles.
So if someone wants to check this out, Deidre, and maybe learn some more about these concerts and the Brooks Museum, is there, you mentioned the website, feverup.com. Is there a link to that on the Brooks Museum website too?
There is, so you can find us there. You could also see us on our secret media network, and it'll have a lot more information there as well.
Tell me why. What was the ideas behind it all?
A great question. So Fever is an experiences platform that's looking to bring new experiences to each and every city that we possibly can. And specifically for Candlelight, we wanted to bring classical music back. So we're trying to democratize that and make it a really local experience so that we're a part of the city's cultural heritage. We're giving visibility to talented local artists and bringing a wide variety of programs to local attendees and meeting the different tastes. You might have heard of these soundtracks on your Spotify playlist or something like that, but hearing them on strings is a totally different auditory experience that we wanted to bring to people and democratize classical music.
So the Addams Family, Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters, Thriller, Exorcist, those kind of things. That sounds spooky, scary, Halloween-like, and it sounds like a good time. How many people are you expecting to attend, Deidre?
We typically sell out the venue, so that is why we're trying to get people to get their tickets as early as possible. You can expect around 200 other people to be with you.
Okay, all right. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go here? This sounds like 2 great nights at the Brooks Museum.
Yeah, they come dressed up. We love when people come in costume. We love when people enjoy the music and leave reviews and always give us feedback on what we can do better and what you thought was amazing and what you want to see next in your city. So we're just really excited to bring this to Memphis and see what people think.
All right, Halloween candlelight concerts at the Brooks Museum, October 25th and October 30th. For more information, go to feverup.com or the Brooks Museum website. Deidre Scott, we appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you for letting us know about these very unique concerts, and good luck on those 2 concert dates. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Lung cancer remains the leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the U.S. It claims 125,000 lives each year. That's more than breast, colon cancer, prostate cancers combined. This is according to the Lung Cancer Foundation of America. And despite the advances in treatment, lung cancer continues to pose a significant threat. But there is something called adjuvant therapy that's emerging as a possible game changer in the fight against lung cancer. Let's bring in a couple of people right now to talk a little bit about this new hope for lung cancer patients. I'm joined by Dr. Jonathan Villat-Vargas. He is a surgeon, and Lisa Goldman, who never smoked but is a lung cancer patient. Both of them joining me on the digital desk. Doctor, first off, let's talk about this new therapy and why it provides new hope for lung cancer patients. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Basically, the last 5 years have been a major advancements in lung cancer treatment. And this is due to several clinical trials that have shown that in addition to surgery, you can give a couple of different types of therapies to prevent cancers from coming back. And this is what's called adjuvant therapy.
Okay, Lisa, never smoker, but you have lung cancer. Tell me your story.
Yeah, I was as surprised as anybody. I was under the same impression that most of us are, that lung cancer is a smoker's disease. And I got a rude awakening that anyone with lungs can get lung cancer, and there are tens of thousands of us every year without any kind of history of smoking that get diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. So I am fortunate to be here today, 10 years after my diagnosis. So I've been living with stage 4 lung cancer for over a decade now.
Wow, congratulations to you. I appreciate you sharing your story, Lisa. Doctor, let's go back over to you. So tell me the differences between the various therapies that are available that are helping people like Lisa.
So the two new major types of therapies are one, immunotherapy, which basically uses your own body immune system to attack and kill the cancer. And then the second one is something that Lisa got, which is something called a targeted therapy, where we understand the type of mutations that the cancers can express and then attack that specific mutation. So it's immunotherapy and targeted therapies, and both of those are called adjuvant therapies.
Okay, and Lisa, I want to go back to you for a minute. This kind of adjuvant therapy wasn't an option when you were diagnosed, but if you had the option, knowing what you know now, tell me why or why you wouldn't consider it.
I would absolutely consider adjuvant therapy. You know, there's been so much progress and so many more options in the last 5 years for lung cancer patients than there were when I was diagnosed 10 years ago. But adjuvant therapy holds a lot of promise. I've seen it extend patients' lives by many years. And so if my doctor came to me with a proposal to do adjuvant therapy today, I would be very enthusiastic.
So, Jonathan, who should talk to their doctor about this kind of therapy? What kind of lung cancer patient?
So right now we are treating almost every single stage of lung cancer with these treatments. So everybody with a diagnosis of lung cancer should be speaking to their doctor about adjuvant therapy. And I think this has been a game changer in the last few years.
Lisa, you said you were diagnosed about 10 years ago. Tell me about your treatment now and how important lung cancer research is to you.
So lung cancer research means everything to me. When I was diagnosed, I was 41 years old and I had 2 very young children in elementary school, and I was told that I had 9 months to live. And I was very fortunate. Actually, the chemotherapy I started with, the traditional treatment, did last just 9 months. But my doctors found that I was eligible for this targeted therapy, and I've been stable on that targeted therapy for over a decade now, which allowed me to move my youngest child into college just last week when I didn't even expect to see her graduate from elementary school. So research is hope for me.
It sounds fantastic. God bless you, Lisa. And then, Doctor, finally, we have thousands of people that watch us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Where can they go for more information online about some of the therapies you mentioned?
So we have a great website for both patients and caregivers. It's lcfamerica.org. That's lcfamerica.org.
Okay, appreciate you both talking about the new therapy, the research out there, and the new hope for lung cancer patients everywhere. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, another live look outside from our high five camera here in 72 degrees. As you can see, some clouds there in Midtown Memphis. We'll be talking more about your forecast in 1 minute. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. One of the big gems of Memphis is the Memphis Botanic Garden, and we always love checking in with our friends there for various news, events, and goings on. I'm joined now by Daniel Gross. He's the director of horticulture there on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, and I love the backdrop, Daniel, and I understand there's quite a sale going on. Good morning to you. Tell me about it.
Good morning. Yes, we're getting ready for our fall plant sale. It's one of my favorite times of year. A lot of people don't know fall is actually the best time to plant plants. We want to get people geared up with that spring fever, but in the fall. And we have a ton of stuff here. It's going to be October 11th, 12th, and 13th. You can check our website for details, but on the 11th, that's our members only day. That's 12 to 4. I promise you it's worth the price of membership because you get a 10% discount and first dibs on our plants. And then on Saturday and Sunday, Saturday it's 9 to 5 and Sunday it's 12 to 4. We shifted it to the weekends to give working people a better chance to get here and get good plants. And like it is loaded, it is stocked. I mean, we have beautiful plants like this over like a 2-acre area. So it's pretty fun.
It sounds incredible. I mean, you think about it, you know, Botanic Garden is one of the most beautiful places in the city. And here is the time to go to a sale for plants there. I mean, what kind of plants are we talking about?
Yeah, anything and everything. I think what's cool about our plants out here at the Botanic Garden is we really try to sell stuff that you just can't get anywhere. Like you go to a big box store, places like that. There's a lot of plants that you can get at a lot of nurseries, but we really worked hard at curating like special plants, cool plants, but they're plants that we know that thrive in the South. And we have them kind of orchestrated by section, so it takes some of the guesswork out. You'll come in and you'll talk to a Memphis Botanic Garden horticulturalist who grew the plant. They could tell you the whole story behind the plant. They can tell you where on our property the plant is. So you get almost an education as you buy the plant, but we've really focused on native plants, rare plants, just that cool stuff that you can only get from us. And we have 2 plant sales a year, the fall and the spring. So we kind of have these 2 weekends where we open up to get just the most unique and fun kind of plants. So there, like I said, there's a plant list online. If I start naming plants, it'll be like drinking from the fire hydrant. There's so many. But,
no.
If you want, I can highlight a couple of my favorites, the ones that always sell out and why you need to buy them. Would that be okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This right here is Major Wheeler honeysuckle. Okay, this is a native honeysuckle plant. It's a host plant for, go Google hummingbird moth. If you're watching this thing, it's a host plant for the clearwing caterpillar. I had one of these in my backyard, and we had like 9 caterpillars on it. It was so cool to have my kids come out and see them eating the leaves and grow, and then see hummingbird moths on our property later. Such a cool experience. Not only have a plant, but then see the wildlife that plant supports in your yard. It just invites your kids to connect with nature. It invites me too. Like I love seeing it. We get about 100 of these every plant sale, and I swear they sell out in the first day. Like people love them. They have a long, I don't know if you can see the picture on here. I'll hold it up closer. You can Google Major Wheeler honeysuckle, but they have these red tubular flowers. Hummingbirds love anything with the red tubular flowers. So just a super fun plant to bring that back garden to life with wildlife and whatnot. So we love things like that. We have a lot of that stuff here.
I love it. I love it. Of course, we have a hummingbird feeder in our backyard, and we love seeing them all gather around and stuff. So that sounds awesome. So if someone's watching this right now, Daniel, they want to be a part of it, do they have to pay a fee to get into the Memphis Botanic Garden in order to buy some plants? How does it work?
There's no fee to get in. It's really just something we want to do for the community to give them access to this type of plant. The only thing is that first day on October 11th, when we're open from 12 to 4, that is members only day. So you do have to have a membership to get in on that day. But like I said, you get 10% off. It pays for itself on that first day. But the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, it's open to the public. You just come in and load up your cart with plants.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, so if there are some people that want to go maybe on a website and just kind of see all the details you just mentioned, what's the website?
It's the Memphis Botanic Garden website. If you just Google Memphis Botanic Garden, it'll come up for you. And then you can search the details for our plant sale. And our plant list of all the available plants is active and on there. So if you want to like do some background research on some of the plants, it's actually really helpful. If people come in, and they'll come in with that list, and they're like, I want these plants. Where is it? And that helps us help you find what you need for your yard. We really love that. If you come in with your yard, you have a picture on your phone and you say, hey, I'm trying to find something for this spot, and you've got the list, we've got someone here that will walk you through. This is what you need for that spot. So that's pretty cool.
Daniel Gross, man, you really sold it. You brought it this morning here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Thanks so much for the info, and we appreciate it. Best of luck on the fall plant sale, October 11th, 12th, and 13th. We appreciate it. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. There is a new book out that highlights one of the biggest stories of the Mid-South over the last 30 to 40 years, the West Memphis Three. I'm joined right now by Dan Stidham. He's a West Memphis Three attorney joining us on the digital desk. And I understand, Dan, good morning to you. This story is about untold aspects of the case West Memphis Three. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So anyway, so I understand that you wrote this book. It's called A Harvest of Innocence. Tell me some of the reasons why you wrote this book. There's been so much in the public domain about this case. It's certainly gone national with a number of different documentaries surrounding it. Tell me what's in this book and why you felt the need to write it.
Well, there's a lot of mythology out there about the case, and the way that it ended with the Alford plea created a lot of confusion, and I just wanted for there to be a true account of exactly what happened and how it happened and why it happened, and also continue my search for the real killer.
Okay, and we have thousands of people that watch us, Dan, on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, and I know most of them know about the West Memphis Three, but I want to just familiarize people with this case. This was something that happened on May 5th, 1993, where there were 3 8-year-old boys that had been murdered, and 3 teenage boys would spend 18 years behind bars for this crime. And we're talking about Jason Baldwin, Jesse Misskelley, Damian Echols, and they were dubbed the West Memphis Three. and there was all kinds of theories and thoughts about how there was this satanic panic among people who thought that these 3 teenagers were the result of these 3 kids that passed away, that died in this brutal murder. And so your book, Harvest of Innocence, is the untold story of the West Memphis 3 murder case. That is the title of it. Tell me specifically what is untold about the murder case, Dan.
Well, there was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that I couldn't talk about while the case was ongoing. I discovered things that had happened after the case was tried back in 1994 in January. And then I saw a pattern emerge of misconduct on the part of law enforcement and the prosecution. And in some ways, it seemed like there was collusion with the trial judge. And so looking back, I was startled when I saw that these things were unfolding. And so I started going back through my case file after I got it back and looking at things. And one of the things that I did is I received an entire copy on DVDs of both trials, and I went back and started watching. And some of the things that I saw were times when the court was in recess, but the judge was still on the bench and still talking, and the microphones were picking up what he was saying. And he was saying disparaging things about me and Mr. Crow, my law partner at the time. And just, it was clear that there was some bias there. And this, there's a big difference between being 30 years old and I'm 61 years old now. When you go back and look at what happened and all these are all scenes that are uncut, just didn't, they weren't in the documentaries. And so I literally was nauseated to watch it because my older self was looking at my younger self in disbelief, actually, at some of the things that were going on. And as the appeal process started, people came up to me and started giving me new information, which was very, very, in some cases, unbelievable. But then again, I started noticing these patterns emerging where witnesses were hidden from us so we couldn't subpoena them. And I had a book signing just a few weeks ago at Barnes & Noble in Jonesboro, and someone walked up to me and gave me some explosive evidence that I never knew about. And so there's been a lot of people who've come forward because they were too afraid to come forward back 30 years ago. But also, one of the things when I'm doing public speaking about the case, and the case has never, ever left the headlines in 30 years, 31 years now. And there's just so much garbage out there on the internet that's just completely, totally untrue. And so in 2014, I sat down and decided that I was going to get serious about writing this book. And of course, life has its interruptions, but I, with my co-author, Tom McCarthy, who is an excellent writer and editor, he stuck it out with me for 9 years before we got it completed and published it back in November. But there's between 80 and 100 things that have never been disclosed to the public in the book. Some of the things that nefarious things that were being done by police officers and a prosecutor and the trial judge himself, which were very disturbing. And so this is, again, sort of my memoirs of the case. Yeah. But I had several goals in mind when I wrote the book, one of which was to set the record straight on what really happened.
Yeah, and just to update our audience, in 2010, The three accused were able to enter an Alford plea, and they were able to go free after 18 years. There's still no one that's been arrested for the brutal murder of three 8-year-old boys that happened in May of 1993. Let me ask you this. I mean, point blank, Dan, who did this crime?
Well, I am unwilling at this point to take Terry Hobbs, the stepfather of the victim, Stevie Branch, off my list of suspects. And with the Arkansas Supreme Court back in April remanding the case back to the circuit court and basically ordering the retesting, we're very hopeful that this new testing will lead us to a suspect. And we know that Mr. Hobbs was at the scene because he left traces of DNA behind, and as did his friend who was helping him look for the little boys that night. His hair was found on a tree stump at the crime scene. So that's one theory that I'm looking at. The other theory is an over-the-road long haul truck driver, serial killer, which, according to, I got the book right behind me. Let's see.
No, that's okay. Again, I just want to remind our audience that Dan Stidham was a young, as you heard, a young lawyer at the time, took this case and fought for the release of the West Memphis 3 that we've been telling you about. And so now this book, Harvest of Innocence, is about that tenure of time and some of the untold things that he is now allowed to say after that investigation. And still to this day, not just here in Memphis and the Mid-South, but this specific investigation is still talked about, one of the most talked about investigations out there right now, still very much on the minds of so many. And a lot of it, in part, is due to a documentary called Paradise Lost that really, once it aired, it really, the fervor of this case and trying to find justice was something that was that seemed to be ramped up on steroids. They wanted it, people just were calling for justice immediately and to figure out exactly what went wrong and how to get the boys out of prison, men now, of course. Anything else before we let you go, Dan? This is something that if anyone is familiar with this case or has an interest in this case, I would think they'd be very interested in reading Harvest of Innocence. Anything else you want to mention?
Yes, I'd like to add in that the FBI has created a task force on long haul serial killers, and a former FBI agent, assistant director of the FBI, Frank Figliuzzi, has just wrote a book about that very topic. But the thing I would like to stress the most about the book and is that I break it down into terms that if you walk away from reading The Harvest of Innocence and you don't believe that these three teenagers, now middle-aged men, are innocent, then I didn't succeed in my book. But I break down the false confession, not just one, but several, and systematically throughout the book, completely knocked the wheels off the state's case. And I did not know about the Alford plea till the night before it happened. I wasn't an architect of that. It was something that just kind of happened in the moment secretly. And as the years went by, I had to try to figure out how that happened and how that occurred, because I was kind of bitter when I discovered what had actually happened. But I take the reader through the entire story, and to make it genuine, I wanted to make sure that I was as tough on myself as I was some of the other key players in the case, so that people could read the book, go through all the scientific information that's in layman's terms, so that they could understand what really happened and how these 3 kids were convicted due to this mass hysteria that we refer to now as satanic panic. And this kind of event happened in Salem, Massachusetts. 300 years later, it happened in West Memphis, Arkansas, and it's going to keep happening until we address the issues with some criminal reform, which would be pretty easy to implement, but it's been a struggle for all these years.
Dan Stidham, the West Memphis 3 attorney, now has a new book, Harvest of Innocence, The Untold Story of the West Memphis 3. It still remains one of the most discussed true crime stories today. Dan, I really appreciate you coming on the digital desk. Thank you for giving us a heads up on this book, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s to kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe 1 or 2 puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again, along with the moisture. Actually, humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, could still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day, and again, 58 in the city. means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting to 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday. And it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday. That may kick up an isolated shower chance. And then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas, and when we talk about Memphis, there are several things we talk about. We talk about the amazing food, we talk about the sports, and we talk about the music history and the music events that happen in this city and in this area each and every year, one of which is Mempho Music Fest that is coming up, rapidly approaching October 4th through the 6th. I'm joined right now by the head of production for Mempho Music Festival, Mike Smith, on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Mike, good morning to you. How are things?
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you being here. So I understand that there was a big change to Mempho. One of which is Jack White coming to Mempho and being one of the headliners. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's correct. We had booked the band, the Queens of the Stone Age, and unfortunately for some health reasons, they're having to suspend some of their dates. We wish them a speedy recovery, but we were really, really fortunate to be able to lock in Jack White pretty quickly, and with his known success and new material out and just the way he's campaigning his shows right now, we thought it was a perfect fit for what we were doing, and just super, super excited to have him on board.
Oh, yeah, he's a big name. I mean, you know, anyone that's been to any kind of sporting event, I can guarantee you have heard Seven Nation Army at some point during that game, because that is an iconic song you hear in every arena across this country. Of course, he was the lead singer of White Stripes. Now he's on his own. And a number of different headliners there. Trey Anastasio is a member of the band Fish. For a while, Goose is someone that's certainly making a lot of waves in terms of downloads. Tell us what else fans can expect.
You know, we're super excited about the Roots. Everyone's familiar with Questlove and the guys that are on the Late Show with Jimmy Fallon every night. And then, you know, we're excited about Cody Jinks, great country artist, really making a lot of waves in that scene. So just we've got a lot of good stuff to offer people.
Yeah, Sublime with Rome, and Sublime, something that I'm very familiar with, going back to the 90s. But I think it was the lead singer passed away, and so this is a new lead singer, but some of the same hits, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Rome's been with Sublime since the lead singer passed away, and I do believe that they're only doing a few shows with this lineup, and Mempho is fortunate enough to have one of the last few shows that they're going to do like this.
That's fantastic. And so I've been to a couple of Memphos over the years. Always a great time. I mean, a music festival is always a lot of fun, regardless of whether you like the music or not, or just a casual fan. You're always going to have a good time. So, and at Memphis Botanic Garden, which is a wonderful backdrop for this festival, tell us about some of the other things, in addition to the bands, that people can take advantage of.
The garden is such a great partner in this event with us, such a beautiful location and setting for what we're able to do there. Some of the other things that we bring in is we bring in the Incendia Dome, which is a big fire dome that we have silent discos in, and local DJs, national DJs all perform in there. We'll also are good partners with the Overton Park Shell, and we'll bring in their Overton Park mobile stage, Shell stage, and we'll have some local artists and regional artists playing on that stage as well. So just lots of activities, lots of fun things. All of our charitable partners will have representation there, and yeah, we're just super excited.
Yeah, so you have 3 stages. This is the first weekend in October, October 4th through the 6th at Memphis Botanic Garden. Let's talk about tickets, ticket prices, and some of the different ways that people can take advantage and get in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. Tickets are on sale right now. The tier 1 tickets are almost gone, so the price is going to increase. I believe next week. If you don't get your tickets this week, they are going to go up. So go ahead and lock those in. There's a 3-day option that saves you a little bit of money if you want to come all 3 days, and there's single-day options that you can get as well. And all those can be found at the Mempho Fest website.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else you want to mention with regards to this year's event? I mean, this is going on, what, 5 years, 6 years, something like that?
This will actually be our seventh year doing Mempho Music Fest. And yeah, 7th year doing it. Super excited. We just look forward to bringing people new experiences, getting to check out some music maybe they haven't heard before. A lot of smiles, a lot of happy faces, dancing, having a good time.
That sounds great. I love it, and it is always. It's such a. We live in such an amazing music town that anytime there's a 3-day festival of music, people need to take advantage of it for sure. Listen, Mike Smith, really appreciate your time on the digital desk. Thank you, and good luck. The first weekend in October should be a great time.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. Appreciate you having me on.
Andrew Douglas, we are always trying to look for optimal mental health and looking for different ways, maybe different hacks, lifestyle changes, that sort of thing. Well, there is some new research out there that suggests that connecting with your spiritual side may be the answer to optimal health. Let's bring in someone to talk more about that aspect to it. I'm joined now by Renee Dillard. She is the Director of Community Behavioral Health for Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Renee, good morning to you. So tell me more about spiritual well-being and that connection to optimal mental health. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. It's wonderful to be with you today, and I appreciate the opportunity for this good conversation. Especially over the past few years, during and coming through the COVID-19 pandemic, we find ourselves in a season where we can imagine that really every person we meet is dealing with something. I think that experience of the pandemic in many ways revealed some realities about our mental health and then exacerbated some symptoms related to mental health. One unexpected gift of that season is that while stigma is still present related to mental illness and mental health concerns, we are more open talking about it. And I think that includes within our faith communities as well. So while that stigma is still present, our faith communities are a wonderful place to have that conversation. And there is more and more awareness now that many of the religious life practices and spiritual practices that have been present really for millennia now are also good for our mental well-being too. Our religious life is a place where we are really grounded and anchored in some of our shared values. And when I say values, I really mean just focus on what is meaningful for us, what is most important, and what matters for us. And those spaces also help us keep moving in that direction towards what is meaningful and towards what matters the most.
So, Renee, I mean, here we are, we're smack dab in the middle of the Bible Belt, and there are plenty of people, I'm sure, saying right now, of course, yes. I mean, in order to find that optimal mental health, you need to have that spiritual side, and you need to make it a priority in order to find it. What does that look like exactly? And what kind of studies suggest that spirituality is the key to mental health?
One that was interesting that came out fairly recently was through the Fetzer Institute. And I'll preface this by saying that there is evidence that some of our religious membership, like in a church or a synagogue or mosque, may be waning for some of the organized religious paths that we've had to us. And yet that part of who we are is still alive and vibrant and well. This Fetzer Institute study came out in 2023, coming out of the pandemic, and revealed that 88% of Americans still practice at least one spiritual or religious practice at least one time per week. And you mentioned here in Memphis, we have a strong and vibrant faith community here. We see evidence of that often. And even the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, recognizes the preventive and proactive factors that are connected with religious and spiritual life, helping to bolster our mental health as well. In many ways, I think that comes for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of those practices are grounded in community and connection. And we also know of late, there's been a lot that's been reported and said about what's almost an epidemic of loneliness in our society. And faith communities are a place to dispel that loneliness. It's a place for us to connect and to support one another throughout life's highs and lows. And then the personal practices that are connected with spirituality and with religion, practices of prayer and meditation, of contemplation, of silence, and then our shared practices of worship together, outreach and service together. All of these practices help foster good spiritual health and well-being, and they also impact our mental emotional health. You know, we think of our health in a compartmentalized way, like what do I need to do to be physically healthy and whole? What do I need for my mental emotional health? What do I need for my spiritual health? And yet we are also one person and one body. So just as the things that I do for my physical health, like good exercise and nutrition, benefit my mental health, the same is true for our spiritual health and well-being. Those practices, especially even the small practices over time, help keep us centered and grounded and give us a sense of connection and belonging.
So let's spell it out for people out there who may be tuning in and watching us and saying, okay, I need more mental health stability in my life. I need better mental health. I want to start this journey with getting first my spiritual mental health and my spirituality correct. How do they begin this process? And spell it out for them, maybe some bullet points.
Thank you. I think one thing to remember is that many of us are connected to a faith community, perhaps a particular church or synagogue, mosque, some other community of faith. And yet, whether we are connected in that way or not, we are all spiritual beings. So finding ways to foster that sense of meaning and connection in our life through what can be small practices done with great intention. So it could be a moment of meditation and prayer daily. It could be recognizing that I do miss being part of a faith community and seeking out a community where there is good mutual support within that space, a space where when the losses of life happen, as they will, we're not alone in that, and we have people to guide us. So starting small and then building on those practices will yield great benefit.
Well, I think there's a great benefit for our audience this morning. Great conversation, Renee Dillard. We appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. I want to talk a little bit about food expiration dates. They can be really confusing when you think about it. I mean, you see best by, used by, sell by, all these different things. So what do all of them mean, and when should we not buy those, and when it's perhaps okay to buy it? I'm joined right now by our friend on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, Quinay Johnson. She's a clinical dietitian at Regional One Health, and she's back with us. Quinay, nice to see you again. Let's talk about this issue. Does it come up often in your practice?
It does not come up often because I do acute care, so people are really worried about the trauma experiences that they're going through now. But in passing with family and friends, this conversation is brought up.
I bet. So is there a certain rule, or maybe there's several rules that, like guidelines, just to follow when it comes to looking at the label, specifically expiration dates? Let's hear it.
Yes, so I did a little research before we had our conversation today, and food labeling can be confusing because there is no standard language for it, and it's up to the facilities or the companies that produce products to be transparent and put use by dates on them. But in terms of laws, there's only one law that encompasses the regulation of use by dates, and that's specifically catered towards infant formula. Everything else is up to discretion.
Okay, so off the top, I was talking about best by dates, use by dates, sell by dates. What's the difference here? I kind of get like best by and sell by. Maybe that's the same thing, but is there a way to just kind of decode it all?
So best by and sell by, they are used all three of them actually are used interchangeably, used by, sell by, and best by. Sell by is usually used by the distributor, so your local grocery store, they use sell by to make sure that they're keeping things on stock while it's at peak. So usually the people that are doing inventory and stock for the product on the shelf, once they see that sell by has passed, they're supposed to remove it off the shelf. Or sometimes they'll give you a discount because it's still technically safe to eat, but it's not at its peak. Sell by, I just went over sell by, use by, and best by. Use by is usually the date that's most correlative with if it's best to eat or not. And again, going back to infant formula, when it has use by, you should not use. Infant formula past its use by date because it's backed by law, but everything else is basically used to determine if it's at its best quality. So you could still buy the product and it may be safe, but the best bet that you can, the best rule that you can abide by is if it smells good, looks good, and tastes good. If something doesn't look right, I say discretion by not picking that item up.
Okay, all right. Yes, it's it's so confusing. I mean, just hearing your response, it's like, okay, I got to write it down exactly which one is which. What about canned goods? I know that sometimes canned goods, have that expiration date, but a lot of times canned goods look the same either before or after that expiration date. How should we decipher that?
Yes, senses are your best friend. Taste, smell, sight, appearance, and texture. So with canned goods, of course, it's in a can, so you can't really taste it before you take it off the shelf. But things to look for with canned goods are any damage to the casing, or if it looks like it's been expanded. If you see those things, I would caution to not pick it off the shelf. And with the dates that are on the can, it is again in relation to its best quality. So if it has a date on the can that's past due, usually canned goods are still safe months to years after the expiration date.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I guess what's the most important thing if you were to say, okay, this is the number one thing you need to know when it comes to expiration labels, just overreaching, regardless, no matter what we're talking about. You got to remember this one rule. What would you say it is?
Excuse me, we're having some technical difficulties. I cannot hear.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay, good. I was just saying, if there was a far-reaching overall rule, like the golden rule when it comes to expiration labels on food, is there one label or is there one rule that just it trumps everything else?
So that one rule is the use by date. And again, that's only with infant formula. If the use by date on infant formula is passed, do not use it because babies are one of the immunocompromised of our population. And there's a list of people who qualify as immunocompromised or people that have impaired immune systems. When it comes to dates, they're not as reliable. The biggest thing that you can use are your senses. So your sight, your smell, your taste, and I believe there's one other sense that you can use. Yes, sight, smell, taste, or feel. So if you have the ability to use those senses to your advantage, use them because they usually never lead you astray.
Yeah, no question. One final thing, I've heard this before, just want to double check with you. If you have like over-the-counter medication like Tylenol, Advil, that sort of thing, if it's past expiration, that just means it's a lower strength and it's okay to have, right?
That is not my specialty, but I can agree with you that usually once it hits that date that you see on the case, then it is a lower strength than what it was before.
That's right. You're a dietitian. You're not, I got you. Out of the realm. Anything else? Final thoughts before we let you go, Quinay?
Yes. So the FDA is one of the websites that provides a lot of information in regards to food safety. And one of the most confusing thing about these terms are that they can be used interchangeably and that there's no law to basically regulate how people talk about these topics. So when you're concerned about expiration dates, the term that's used is food product dating, and food labeling is actually used for nutrition facts labels. and they're very close because they're in the same realm, but it can get confusing really fast. So if you want to do further research, the FDA is a great resource, and specifically the USDA of the FDA, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture, has information. And if you want to get even more specific, the Food Safety and Inspection Services, which is FSIS, that is the entity that handles all those topics.
She is clinical dietitian with Regional One Health, Quené Johnson, joining us on the digital desk once again. Quené, appreciate the info. Thank you so much for spelling it out for us and really just kind of letting us know how confusing it can be and where to go to get the right information. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. You all have a great day.
Okay, you do. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. If you eat seafood, you play a part in keeping our oceans healthy and thriving by selecting what's called sustainable seafood. Wherever you buy it, you see those things, maybe little logos on packages, sustainable seafood. Well, now is the perfect time to put it in the spotlight on the health of our oceans and the role played by sustainable seafood. So what's the difference between seafood and sustainable seafood, and why is it so important? Why does it matter? Let's bring in someone to talk about this very issue right now, joined by Teresa Ish, oceans and environment expert with the Walton Family Foundation. Let's talk about what exactly, Teresa, sustainable seafood is and why it matters. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, October is National Seafood Month, so it is a really great time to consider and think about what it means to eat sustainably. I think for a lot of us, when we think about who produces our food, an image of a farmer on a tractor comes to mind. But fishermen are a vital part of our food system. And so whether you live on the coast or 1,000 miles from the nearest beach, the seafood that you choose matters. And when you choose sustainable seafood, you're choosing to support a healthy ocean and responsible fishermen. When we talk about sustainable seafood, what we mean is finding this balance between protecting ocean health and also feeding a growing population that is increasingly reliant on the ocean for food. And by protecting the ocean, we hope to help people and nature thrive together.
So tell me exactly what sustainable seafood means.
Sustainable seafood is about the practices that fishermen are using to catch the fish. It's about the management that the government and the oversight that the government is putting over the fishery to ensure that the right amount of fish is coming out without damaging the ecosystem. And it's about the science that goes into understanding how our ocean is changing and how resilient it is to the fishing pressure. And when these three things come together, the ocean is really amazingly resilient, and fish populations can improve, and they can continue to provide vital nutrients for the world and important jobs and livelihoods for communities along the coast.
So let's talk about some tips for consumers out there when they're shopping and looking for sustainable seafood.
Well, around the world, when you eat chicken, you eat one species of chicken. There are 2,500 different kinds of seafood we eat, and this diversity really means that no matter what your flavor profiles that you like, your budget, there is a sustainable seafood out there for you. And fortunately, when you go to the grocery store, most grocery stores have sustainable seafood. You mentioned in the lead-in that there are certifications and logos that you can look for, and that's a great way to know that an external body has looked at the science and the health of that fishery and verified that it's sustainable. If you go to your favorite grocery store or restaurant and there are no labels, ask what they're doing to protect the health of the ocean and support fishing communities. Most grocery stores in the United States have made commitments to buy and sell sustainable seafood. They should have that information for you at the fish counter.
What is non-sustainable seafood? Just so we're understanding exactly what this is all about.
Unsustainable seafood often comes from fisheries that aren't regulated. There are fishermen sometimes who are taking out more than they're allowed to take, and this harms the ocean, it harms the surrounding ecosystems, it harms other animals that are not necessarily targeted for fishing, like dolphins and turtles. And so by managing fisheries for sustainability, we really use that regenerative power of the ocean to recover the fish stocks that we like to eat, which in turn supports all of the other parts of the ecosystem that are really important for ocean health. So sustainable seafood tends to use fishing gears that are lower impact on the ocean, and also supports the fishermen themselves who are doing the work. So it's both environmentally and socially responsible.
Where can we get more information for the thousands of people that watch us each and every morning on the digital desk to know the differences between sustainable seafood and not sustainable seafood, and just learn more about how important this relationship is?
There's more information on sustainable seafood and its impact on the ocean at waltonfamilyfoundation.org.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk here on a Tuesday morning. Of course, dealing with some zones of fog, some clouds here this morning. Sunshine breaking back out, though, as we head through the course of the day. Wouldn't be surprising, though, to see an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon hours as a cold front makes its way across the Mid-South. For today, we'll go for a high temperature of 82, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a north breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And again, that stray shower chance in play. We'll drop into the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning with a north breeze around 10 to 15. And again, a lot of spots will start off in the 50s to kick off your Wednesday with clear skies to head out the door to start off the day. And on our way to the mid-70s we go for the afternoon hours, maybe one or two puffy cumulus clouds through the afternoon hours. Yet again, clear skies for the most part to start off early Thursday. Yet again, 50s on our way to the low 80s as a southerly breeze starts to kick in. That will help to bring up the temperatures once again, along with the moisture. Actually, humidity levels will start to creep back up as well as we head towards your Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. Out to the tropics, let's talk about that really quickly. Again, we've got a couple of things that we are watching. Here's Tropical Depression Joyce. We've got Tropical Storm Kirk. Behind Kirk, another area of low pressure that is working its way off of Western Africa. Now, both of these off to sea. This one also out to sea based off of the current modeling. A lot of folks are keeping an eye on what's happening in the Western Caribbean, though. A medium chance of development here as a system that is trying to form here off of Central America starts to work its way northward and into the Western Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, based off of what we've been seeing the last day or so, it seems like that system may be a little bit more disorganized. Still a chance that it could develop, but right now looking more disorganized than anything else. We'll watch it for the end of this week to possibly develop. That could still, even outside of any name, number, or whatever, could still bring some tropical downpours to the Gulf Coast. I don't think this is going to be a problem for us here locally here in the Mid-South. We'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. Of course, if you have interest along the Gulf Coast, we will keep you updated on that as well. But in the meantime, nothing that we need to worry about here. But again, Joyce and Kirk stay out to sea. That system that's behind Kirk strengthens, stays out to sea, and then the chance that that system in the Western Caribbean could develop. Again, a medium chance right now. Could become a higher chance later on this week. We'll just watch it closely, but for right now, nothing that we need to be concerned about here locally here in the Mid-South. Of course, we want you to stay weather aware anytime and everywhere on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download the First Alert Weather app right there in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. An isolated shower chance here today, and again, many spots will probably get away with the day dry. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine on the way for your Wednesday. 50s to start off the day, and again, 58 in the city means low 50s in the outlying areas. So when you wake up in the morning in places like Friendship and Alamo, for our friends in Tune and Whiteville tomorrow, you'll probably be in the low 50s, right around 50 in some spots. We'll work our way to the middle to upper 70s for your Wednesday afternoon. Tons of sunshine. Keep the sunshine theme going for Thursday to the low 80s. After that morning, starting the 50s. Middle 80s expected this weekend. So a little upward trend in our temperatures and our forecast for the weekend as that surge of warmer air. Again, remember, we get a southerly wind starting to come in here on Thursday, and it continues through the upcoming weekend. There's another front that's poised to move through the area on Sunday into Monday that may kick up an isolated shower chance, and then the cooler air of the mid-70s to return as we head towards next week with sunshine continuing.
News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. There is a new study that reveals that many patients are still paying out of pocket to prepare for a colonoscopy. In other words, they are paying for that medication, if you will, that extremely powerful laxative in order to prep your body for a colonoscopy. And there is a group out there that is trying to change all that. I'm joined right now by Chris Evans. She is a Colon Cancer Coalition president and is someone that is fighting to reduce barriers for colonoscopies, and one of which would be that medicine that you take beforehand. Chris, good morning to you. Tell me exactly what you and others are fighting for. Good morning.
Good morning. If we know that colonoscopy prevents or detects colon cancer at very early stages, but that's only when the colonoscopy is a clean colon, and that's what your prep is for. And so it's an integral part of that colonoscopy to have that prep. And most patients don't know they have choices in prep. There are so many out there on the market, and that some are readily uncovered by insurance, and some of them are not covered at all by insurance. So this is what we're trying to get the message out there.
Why would some be covered by insurance and not others? Is it just because it's too expensive?
Well, all of them are supposed to be, except for the over-the-counter, which is very commonly prescribed. So that's kind of our point, is that every patient can tolerate a different kind of prep. There's 4-liter preps, there's 2-liter preps, there's pill form. There's all kinds of choices, and depending on your situation as a patient, you're going to like and tolerate one of those better than the other. So that's what we want to get out there, is for people to talk to their doctors and really find out which one's the best, and it all should be covered by insurance.
Yeah, I have to say I had one recently, and the preparation for it, I remember I did have to pay, but it was like a copay. That insurance did pay for a portion of that laxative or whatever it was that cleans you out. They did pay for a portion of it, so it was, a nominal fee, maybe $10, $15. Would you like to see like no fee at all? Is that what you're talking about?
No fee. You're lucky enough that you have insurance and that you're able to cover that. But we experience patients who have so many barriers to colonoscopy with transportation, childcare, time off work, just everything economic like that, that we don't want any costs because it's an integral part of this test. You cannot have a good colonoscopy without a good prep.
Gotcha. So tell me what you and your coalition are going to do to move forward with this.
So we're kind of working legislatively. We know that the the ACA said this has to be paid for, and it's just kind of falling through the cracks, I think, with that copay, like it's a medication versus part of a screening colonoscopy. And we want people to, this is a piece of the screening colonoscopy. It is an umbrella, it is the same, it is not different, and it should be paid for fully. So we're working towards that, and we're also working to get the word out through your listeners to have that, to advocate for themselves, to demand that from their colonoscopy provider.
Okay, so we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Anything that you would like them to do? Is there a place where they can go online?
You can always get a hold of us at www.coloncancercoalition.org. We have lots of information about colon cancer and about our events. And in there, there's an info line. If you need some help, email us. We'll get involved. Just really think about the prep, not just the test. The test sort of overwhelms your mind when you have to go for a colonoscopy. And so then step back a minute, think about the prep, and think about asking those questions, whether you're diabetic, whether you can't tolerate large volumes of liquid, whether pills make you You can't swallow pills. There's all kinds of really good considerations to not take the prep as a sideline. It's actually the main part of the test. And so let's talk about it. Let's get it the right thing for you, what you tolerate and what you can afford.
Okay, Chris Evans, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much for the info, the knowledge, and good luck with your coalition's push to make it all paid for by insurance. Thank you. To the Action News 5 digital desk, I'm Andrew Douglas. So let's talk about these intoxilizers. They are machines that are being distributed all across the state of Mississippi. In fact, the Mississippi Department of State Safety just released a news release to us talking about these intoxilizers, these 9,000 machines all across the state. I'm joined right now by the Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety for the state of Mississippi, Sean Tiddell, on the Action News 5 digital desk. Sean, good morning to you. So tell me why these machines are being distributed all across the state of Mississippi. Was there a big need? Tell me more. Good morning.
Good morning. Absolutely, there was a big need. We've been operating in Mississippi with the Intoxilizer 8000s for the last 20 years. And the reality is a lot of those machines have become outdated. The software had gotten to the point where it couldn't match up to the hardware. So we knew we needed the new version of these machines out there and making our road safe by getting drunk drivers off the road. So we went through a procurement process where we were able to secure new Intoxilizer 9000s, and we've been getting those machines programmed, and we just started having classes, and we will be doing a rollout through the entire month of October, putting one in every county in the state of Mississippi. Then we'll follow up putting them in multiple cities across the state.
So Sean, my idea of that is kind of like a modern day breathalyzer, right? I mean, this is, from what I understand, a modern infrared-based breath alcohol instrument. Is that right? Because our public might not know that term, intoxilizer.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's certainly an upgrade over the old machines. Just the technology that we have compared to what we had 20 years ago gives us a lot better product and a lot better analysis than what we had in the past. In so much as, even if there might not be anything on somebody's breath, it actually picks up through the blood that goes through your system and into your breath, is able to pick that up with the infrared technology. So it really is an amazing machine, and one in which, again, once somebody gets put on it and it has to breathe into it, we'll be able to detect their use of alcohol and get drunk drivers off our road, which, even with things like Uber and other things that a lot of folks are using instead of driving drunk like they used to in the past, we still have habitual drunk drivers that get out on our roads, and we're still charging a lot of folks with it. And unfortunately, it's causing a lot of deaths on our roadways when these drunk drivers get into these fatal accidents.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be a pervasive situation that you see all across the Mid-South, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas. I mean, it really doesn't hold any boundaries. So how are they used? Are they used like a breathalyzer? When an officer approaches a vehicle, they suspect something, they do some tests, and then it's implemented? How's it going to be used?
Well, the way the process generally works is law enforcement will make observations into the individual and determine as to whether or not they think there's any probable cause to proceed with additional investigation. And that's when you usually see the field sobriety test take place, where the officer's making somebody and asking them to do a one-legged stand, the eye test, and the walk and turn. And then from there, the officers generally have what's called a portable breathalyzer machine. And that just establishes, again, further probable cause. And then eventually they will put them on the Intoxilizer 9000 machine. And these will be located at our sheriff's offices across the state. But eventually we'll be putting them out again in the cities. And we will have mobile units that will have them available so that we can bring them and put them right on the side of the road, so that you're not having to transport an individual back to the sheriff's office to do the Intoxilizer machine at the station. So again, this is the beginning of the rollout. We're hopeful to have over 250 eventually out in the field, and we will have some mobile units that will be available to come to the scene when we have a suspected drunk driver.
I suspect these are very accurate compared to the old machines. What do you want the public to know about this?
Well, and they are accurate. And I'll say this about the 8,000. It served its purpose. It was an accurate machine as well. But I think what we'll see with the 9,000, it has further capabilities. And most importantly, look, we don't want to write DUI tickets. And we don't want to, what we want is to get drunk drivers off the road. And so what we would encourage people to do is if you're going to be drinking and you're going out with some friends, find a designated driver or take an Uber or take a cab, but don't drink and drive. I mean, the last thing that we want to do is go out there and issue a DUI. We'd rather you not be drinking and driving. But know this, if that's the choice you make, we're enhancing those efforts in Mississippi. And if we catch a drunk driver, we're going to arrest you. And we're going to work with our prosecutors to ensure that you're prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And I'm a former state senator. I work closely with Senator Parker from DeSoto County. And a few years ago, we even instituted a DUI fourth law in Mississippi. If you get 4 DUIs in your lifetime in this state, you're looking at a 10-year felony charge. And so I know he and I both are very proud of that legislation, and I'm proud to be in the position I am now as Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety to further our efforts to get drunk drivers off our road and protect those that are trying to drive on our interstates and highways and state roads from being hurt or harmed by drunk drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And with Uber and Lyft, the advent of those two, there's no reason to get behind the wheel at all, even if you've had a sip. Sean, we really appreciate your time on the Action News 5 digital desk. Thank you so much for letting us know and shedding a light on these new machines and letting the public know, hey, look, if you're going to do this, we're going to find you, catch you, and we're going to prosecute you. Anything else before we let you go?
No, we appreciate you. Appreciate you helping us get the word out about this. And I would encourage everybody in Tennessee and Mississippi, stay safe, be vigilant. And again, if you're going to go out with your friends, we want you to have a good time, but get a designated driver or make a plan to get home safe by using Uber or other services.
Okay, Sean Tedell, Department of Public Safety Commissioner, we appreciate your time on the digital desk. Thank you. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. I'm Andrew Douglas, and I want to tell you about the University of Memphis Earth Sciences Department. They just received a grant for over $431,000, and it's for measuring and mapping the spatial distribution of chemical elements in the Earth's materials. I want to learn more a little bit about this. It's a great grant, and it's at the University of Memphis. And I'm joined now by Dr. Gary Stinchcomb. He's with the Earth Sciences Department. And Gary, I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. So tell me exactly where this grant is coming from and where it's going to be helpful for research at the University of Memphis. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on the digital desk here. So the funding came through the National Science Foundation, which is a federal organization that funds a lot of basic scientific research in the United States. And the funding, we got the funding for this instrument. It's a micro X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, and as you pointed out, it's very useful for mapping the chemical composition of Earth materials and how that chemical composition varies spatially. And there's a lot of problems in Earth sciences where when we look at the chemical concentration of a material, whether it's a soil or sediment, river sediment, we only know the concentration of that material. We don't really know how it varies spatially. So this instrument will give us this ability to map the spatial distribution of that chemistry down to 5 microns, which, to give you a sense of how small that is, the width of a human hair is anywhere from 17 to like 180 microns. So we'll be able to understand the chemistry at a very small spatial scale.
So, for layman's people all around Memphis and the Mid-South, first off, congratulations on getting such a big grant and for the research and the data that's going to be able to come from this grant. Can you tell us in layman's terms why it's so important to measure and map the spatial distribution of chemical elements in Earth materials? Because you know, it might be hard to kind of grasp how important it is.
Yeah, let me first give you an analogy. Perhaps that'll help paint a better picture here. Um, Imagine you're living in your house and you want to know how your house works. Traditionally, what we might do as an earth scientist is we might destroy your entire house into a powder and then characterize the chemistry of that powder. And that's informative. But as you know, and as everyone knows, the house has structure. There are rooms, there are walls, there are appliances, and understanding how that material is distributed through space helps us understand how your house works. And so it's something similar, for example, with earth materials, thinking about the soil underneath our feet. The nutrients in the soil are critical for helping plants grow. And we can measure the concentration of those nutrients like phosphorus or calcium. But that only gets us so far. And so just like the house, we want to know where that phosphorus or where that calcium is distributed within the soil. And that's going to help us answer questions like, okay, how is the plant acquiring phosphorus or calcium within the soil?
I appreciate that explanation. I was able to follow it very clearly, so thank you for that. So how long is this grant for? How long does it take to research this aspect?
Yeah, so this is an instrument acquisition grant that's going to last for about 3 years. And then we'll report to the NSF on an annual basis on our progress. So it's just a matter of getting the instrument. We're in the process of finalizing the purchase. The instrument should be shipped within a few weeks. And then we'll just start conducting the research. I should add that we also, as part of that $430,000 grant, we acquired some additional funding to help build the beginnings of an institute here, the Institute of MicroXRF, where that funding will support students on campus conducting research with the instrument, but also provide funding for students outside of University of Memphis to come to the university and use the instrumentation. And in addition to that, there's some funding built in there to help with education, in particular, bringing high school students on campus to help them understand how we can use this instrument to help us characterize earth materials.
So that's fantastic. So not only is this a huge research undertaking, but also students that are currently enrolled at the University of Memphis are going to be a part of this. Also, students that are looking at the University of Memphis are going to be a part of it too. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I think now that we are an R1 institution where we have research at a very high activity, we want the instrumentation that will allow the student to ask deep questions to push the science forward. And I think with this instrument and everything else that's happening on campus, we're headed in the right direction.
That sounds
so thank
great.
you.
Yeah, no worries. So final thing, we have thousands of people that watch us here on the Digital Desk. Anything else you want to mention just to the greater public about this grant, the study, the research, the students involved, anything else?
Yeah, thanks for actually mentioning that, because even though I'm sitting here talking to you about this instrument, I can tell you with a high degree of certainty that there were a lot of people involved in putting this proposal together from the Department of Earth Sciences and CSER on campus, but also there's a lot of administrative support that makes these grants a possibility, from pre-award support coordinators, Emily Bowman, for example, all the way to post-award support. And so there's an infrastructure here with a lot of people helping to make this a reality, and I've got to give thanks to all of those folks.
Dr. Gary Stinchcomb, congratulations once again. Thanks for coming on the Digital Desk and really spelling it out, what this research entails and why it's so valuable, important, and it's great to see that the University of Memphis is leading the charge. We appreciate your time. All right, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We got Ariana Poindexter taking you through the next hour with Action News 5's Midday